All right, so finally we are done with the skin and stuff, the face and stuff, and we can actually just move on to the props thing. So yeah, in this video we are gonna be doing a little bit of handband sculpting. Wait, headband, headband sculpting, and a little bit of proxy hair sculpt. So again, the idea is, I actually do kind of like adding a proxy hair before I really start adding the real hairs. And in this case, we are gonna be just adding the proxy hairs and also some of the headband area. And you can see that we have so many of these stuff. By the way, let's just look at the reference. And you can see that we have these stitches on the cloth. We have these braids, not the braids. What do you even call them? I think dreadlock. Yeah, dreadlock. So we're gonna have to cheat in this a lot. These dreadlocks, they're not gonna come from the head itself. We're gonna have to create some different planes for them. But yeah, it's a different thing. When we'll be doing the dreadlocks, I'll just show it to you. But for now, we can actually do the headband area and a little bit of hair proxy kind of a thing. So this hair proxy is pretty useful for figuring out the volumes of your head, not the head, the hairs, the volumes of the hairs. And if we were to have the correct volume of the hairs, we can actually do the correct volume in the headband area. So that's why we are gonna be doing both of them in this video. And yeah, that's basically what the idea is. If we were to just create a nice volume for the hair, the headband is gonna be around that volume, and that's why it actually makes sense to create the headband with the hair volume, with the hair proxy basically. So obviously it's in proxy, and we are not really gonna be using it for render or anything. In the end, it is gonna get deleted. So don't really give too much attention to it, especially in the places where we are not even gonna be seeing the hairs. For example, in the back area, we are not gonna be seeing any hairs in the back. So you can definitely just skip that. All right. So first thing first, in the forehead area, there is going to be headband, which means we can actually just remove the hairs from that particular area. But we can definitely see the hairs coming from the top, and they are going towards the side, and they are making really nice looking volumes. So we're gonna have to add that. By the way, these are some of the volumes that we're gonna have to add. These dreadlocks, because they're also influencing the volume of the headband tooth. Okay. But yeah, you can see these volumes, the dreadlock volumes, the volumes on the top, they are influencing the headband area, and we're gonna have to keep that in mind when we'll be sculpting them. So first things first, we are gonna be just creating this line that is separating the left and right part of the hair. I could have done that by looking into the camera view as well, and yeah, I mean, you have to be kind of accurate for this, because in the end, this is what's gonna like the volume, the final volume. This is basically what's gonna drive, or maybe which is gonna how do I don't even know how to say it, but you get the idea. I mean, it is pretty important for the volume. I definitely need to work on my English seriously. So this is what we have. Obviously, it's not super cool stuff, but the hair proxy does not really take that long actually. We are gonna be just start doing the like the headband, and that's what's gonna take time, but it's also gonna be fun. We're gonna be sculpting the cloth. I've realized that it is more diagonal, right? That's why I'm actually just removing the middle line and making it look a little bit more diagonal. I really hope that I don't need to explain the brushes and stuff. It's not super complicated sculpting. So I don't think that I really need to explain any of that. And now we can just start adding some of these volumes. You're going to see that I'll try to follow the direction as well, so that we can actually get the idea of direction and the volumes. So we both going to be able to get both of these stuff simultaneously. And he's kind of looking like a Willy Wonka right now, doesn't he? Well, that's actually kind of funny. Not entirely, but kinda. Alright, so as you can see that I'm literally just adding these strokes in the direction of the hairs. but I'm also trying to mimic the volume. And you can see that this volume, it is kind of like an S. So we have kind of an S shape, and I think I'm gonna draw it for you right now. Yeah, let me just do that. So the hair volumes, they are coming top and then they're going down and then they're coming back. If you can see it in the reference, I have obviously exaggerated it a little bit, but that's what we have in this area. All right, so at this point, I am pretty sure that you must have get the idea why we create the hair proxy. This is something that I do it. If you feel like that you can actually do the hairs without a proxy, then go for it. I won't really mind. But I really kind of need something, to have more accurate volumes. So that's why I always do it, unless it's a really simple hairstyle, or maybe some shorter hairs. If I am doing some short hairs, then I don't do the proxy as well. But for longer hairs, I kind of need the proxy. So yeah, for shorter hairs, it would work fine actually. Okay, so now you can see that I'm going a little bit sharper with the clay strip brush and trying to make sure that the volumes are correct and the direction could also be seen in the sculpt. So we are achieving the two things, the volumes and the direction of the hairs. And this is what we have right now. And the more we sculpt, for example, you can see in this area we have more volume, and then the volume is going inside a little bit. So if I were to remove some volume like this, we should be able to get something similar that we have in the reference. Okay, this was a bit too much, but obviously the more we massage the shape, the better the sculpt is gonna be, and you don't have to polish anything. That's like the best thing about these proxy meshes, that you don't even have to polish anything. Just get the volumes right and you should be good to go. So something like this should actually just work fine. Don't even increase the resolution and try to get all the details of the hairs, because in the end we are making the hairs from the particles. In this case, curves, actually Blender, it does have particle system still, but I think they've introduced a new, not I think, yeah, they've actually introduced a new system that uses curves and geometry nodes, but you cannot really simulate that yet. So if you are doing hair grooming for animation, you actually cannot use that, which is unfortunate, a little bit unfortunate, but it's okay. They've said that they are gonna be implementing the simulation in the curves as well pretty soon. So yeah, in the future you are gonna be able to simulate the curves as well, but not right now. If you are grooming for animation, use the normal particle system and that would be much better. Alright, so this is what we have, and you can see that I'm not making the proxy exactly like Johnny Depp. Like I'm not grabbing the hairs and creating all the dreadlocks and stuff, because I don't really need them. I only need the top area where we have the headband, because those those area is actually much more important for me, because this is where the headband is going to be, and this is where I want more accurate volumes in the hairs. So now we can actually just create a headband. You can literally just add a cylinder and shrink wrap it, and I think that's what I'm gonna do. Am I gonna be adding a cylinder, or how I add it? Okay, I think I'm gonna be looking through the camera. Okay, yeah, I've said it actually. You can look through the camera, and this way you're gonna be able to get much more accurate result, and you're gonna see that what we've did, it didn't really look that. Yeah, you can see that the volumes are a little bit off, and that's okay. That's totally fine. I don't really mind that. So we can actually adjust it a little bit. Even the middle part, we have not really correctly created the middle part as well. But yeah, you don't even have to be super accurate actually. It is also pretty forgiving unless you create something really, really bad. But you don't have to be super accurate. You just have to be good. All your basics should be good enough. And the accuracy, you don't really you don't have to follow the accuracy. In terms of the hairs, uh, okay, I don't think that I'm actually saying it correctly, and the message that I'm trying to say, it could go a little bit wrong, but what I'm trying to say is you could be a little bit inaccurate in the hairs and it would still look good, unless it does not make sense. They still have to make sense. And yeah, so I could have actually just added a cylinder and shrink wrap it, but instead I've opted to create a face set and basically just extract the face set. And you can see that I'm literally just intersecting the mesh because it's easier to sculpt that way. It is harder to sculpt on a thin mesh, but it is easier to sculpt on a cylinder basically. And that's what I'm doing right now. I've literally just created a cylinder, and if I were to remesh, you can see this is what we are gonna have. So now we can actually just smooth the middle area, and the sculpting is going to be a little bit easier on this mesh, and we can always just retopo it a little bit later. I mean, retopo it after we are done with the sculpting. Even though in this case, I don't think that I even retopo the mesh actually. In the end, the final render that you see, it's not the retopoed version, it's literally the sculpted version. So yeah, you can see how much you can actually get without even have to retopo stuff. So the cool thing about adding the camera is now we can just match all the volumes and the thickness of the headband. And yeah, that's I think is one of the best thing about using the cameras. So obviously it's not cheat, it's taking reference. All right, so again, just grabbing and trying to make sure that I get the volumes correct. For example, the width of the headband, it was way too low, so I had to increase it. And yeah, just make sure that it actually makes sense, the volumes are correct, and it is good looking, and then you'll be good to go. So as you can see, as it is going back, I'm actually just creating a taper so that it looks like that the headband has been tied behind the head. So that's what the idea is, and that's where the wrinkles are also forming actually. But yeah, I obviously not created a tie behind the head because that area could not have been seen in the reference, so I didn't really had to do that. And now I'm just polishing the headband. So obviously first thing that you need to do is to polish your not polish, but create decent volumes. For example, what I'm doing right now. And if something is not matching with the reference, you don't have to copy it like 100% with the reference. You can actually ignore some of the reference part and basically make sure that it actually looks good in the 3D model itself, because sometimes when you go for matching with the reference, it could actually look a little bit weird, and it's better to not go with the reference but to go for what's better looking. In this case, I am actually trying to make it look more accurate to the reference, but you're gonna see that I won't be able to match it 100%. So I just go for something that looks good in the end. And that's because again of the human error that we have. And it's okay. You won't be able to match everything 100% accurately. Yeah, just make sure that it looks good and you should be good to go. All right, so this is what we have, and you are gonna get some of these time lapse in between actually, because there is no reason for me to show everything to you in real time. I mean, we've literally sculpted a portrait, And now all we need to do is to just sculpt some clothes and just add some volume. So I feel like we are already in a place where I can actually just, skip a little bit of that. And yeah, I mean, if you think about it, the level of sculpting that you need to do, like the skill level that you need, is fairly low while sculpting the clothes. But and yeah, I mean, we've sculpted a portrait, a really complex one with the skin and everything. So I think the cloth is something that we can actually just pull off easily. At least that's what I feel like. So this is what we have. Obviously, it's not like the best looking headband right now, but we've just blocked out stuff. And yeah, I am just gonna be start polishing it. For example, you can see right now I'm just using the scrape brush so that I can get rid of this weird surface that we have underneath. And I am also not gonna be retopoing it and gonna be creating a proper mesh shaped mesh. In the end, this sculpt that we are doing this on the cylinder, basically this cylindrical part is gonna be the final part, and this is also the part that you're gonna be seeing in the render. So yeah, I didn't really did any sort of retopology, and yeah, I basically just used the sculpt mesh and the sculpted mesh, and just did the render on it. So the final render that you see, it's the sculpted mesh and not a retopod mesh. All right, so this is what we have, the cylinder, and I'm just gonna be start polishing it now. Basically, the idea is, again, if you were to sculpt on a cylinder, it would be easier to do because Blender won't behave weirdly on a cylinder. So that's just how it is. And let's just do a save. And I guess the idea is to also see how the volumes are looking. So let's see. I think I'm actually just gonna give it a color or not. Wait, am I? Okay, what am I doing? I don't know what am I doing right now. Oh yeah, I'm actually trying to remesh it. Yeah, this is something that I forgot. Yeah, this we are not gonna be sculpting on like the voxel remesh, but I am just gonna be code remeshing it, and then we are gonna be just subdividing it in with the multi-resolution modifier actually. And that way we are gonna get a little bit better topology. So in the end, it is still going to be an sculpted version, and you're gonna see that, like, I'm not gonna be doing a manual retopo. That's basically what I've said. But I am still gonna be using this particular method. So this is what we have, and now we can actually just continue doing some sculpt on top of it. Again, the idea was because I really wanted to add all the details to the sculpt. I cannot just increase the remesh like in the sculpt mode, because that would make the scene a little bit heavier. So I thought that maybe I can actually use the multi-resolution modifier, and if I'm not working on the cloth, I can just lower it down. So now we have all these wrinkles, and you can see that we don't have any wrinkle on the forehead because it's a tension point. And if you know a little bit of anatomy of the cloth, you are not gonna get any wrinkles on the tension point. And also the cloth is coming together, and there is a knot behind the head, which is making all the clothes coming together. So that's why there are wrinkles there. And if you were to look at this, you can see that we don't have wrinkles on the shoulders, because again, shoulder is a tension point. Similarly, we have forehead. So I really hope that you know that much about the clothes sculpting, because it's like pretty basic stuff, and I'm not really gonna explore that over here. Already we've I mean, the amount of time this course actually have taken is already a little bit more than I originally wanted it to. So yeah, I guess sculpting clothes, doing hairs, I'll actually just explain you stuff, but I'm not really gonna show you everything step by step. I mean, I am gonna be showing it to you, but yeah, it's gonna be the time lapse mostly. For example, I am gonna be doing the dreadlock once, and then all of the dreadlocks would be behind the scene, because again, it just does not make sense for me to show you each and every single dreadlock. And in terms of hairs, I do a whole lot of trial and error thing. So if I were to just show it to you in real time this course, it would have literally had have wait, yeah, had, I think had is the right word, right? The course would have been twice the long as we have right now. So yeah, let's actually just figure out a way to sculpt the wrinkles, and we need to make sure that it actually goes straight, because we know the volume is around the ears, so that part is going to be the tension point. That's what I'm doing right now. So now I am actually just gonna make sure that the thickness of the headband actually makes sense, which means we don't want the volume on the forehead to be too much outside of the head. So I am just gonna be pushing it back so that it looks like that we don't have hair in this area. Alright, so now we've actually just started adding some sculpting details. I mean, not the sculpting, the cloth details, the wrinkle details, basically. And this is what we have. You can see the thickness of the cloth. Just make sure that it makes sense. You can see the thickness in the reference as well. So just try to match it. Yeah, this part it is a little bit too in, so we can just push it out. Again, as I've said, we are not really gonna be retopoing anything. So just make sure that it looks right in the sculpt itself. And now we can just trace down the wrinkles. So I literally just mark a line like this. And then once the line is marked, I can actually just push it back and just start adding some volumes. But obviously the first thing that we need to do is to mark these lines. And as you can see, I'm just gonna make sure that as they go in forward, like towards the forehead, they kind of disappears, so that they look similar to the reference basically. And yeah, that's what the idea is. So all right, so now we are just gonna be repeating the same thing on the other side, and I think I don't even need to commentate. Like this is something that you can actually just speed up, if I'm being honest. So yeah, I guess I'll just come back after we are done with a little bit of sculpting and then adding the volumes. So again, this is actually before I go. Remember how I did the iris part? So it is literally the same. I literally just mark the volumes first, and then I literally just go there and start adding the volumes around the lines. So that's how I do work. And you can see this middle line that I've added. We can see that over here. So that's why I added that. And I feel like I I can actually go and just let you watch the video in a faster paced Yeah, I think I should go. I don't really think that I need to add too much to it now. And I'm not really gonna be editing the video and make it fast. So you can just do that yourself in the Udemy. And yeah, maybe I'll come back in this video after a while if I were to feel that there is something that I need to say. And if I can remember it correctly, there is. I think I am gonna talk about how we don't even need to sculpt the back part of the cloth. So yeah, I'll just let you watch for a while, and then I'll come back in the middle of the video somewhere when we'll start. Or maybe I don't even need to go. Actually, I don't know. Do I even need to go? I can just keep talking some random stuff. But I also remember that we are gonna be I think we are gonna be, how do you say it? We are gonna be remeshing it. Yeah, I'm literally doing it right now. Yeah. So the idea was not to subdivide it more, because the more we subdivide, the heavier it gets. And this was actually what we wanted. We wanted it to be a little bit heavy, but the polygons, they weren't really working as I wanted them to work. So I just remeshed it to get equal amount of density in the whole mesh. And now I'm literally just sculpting on top of the remeshed version. So yeah, I don't think that I am gonna be retopoing it from now on. I think we are just gonna be completing the sculpting on the remeshed version, the version that we have right now. The only thing that would change is maybe we'll increase the density as we move forward with the sculpt, because we need to make sure that the wrinkles actually looks good, and in order for them to good look, we need to increase the density of the mesh. So this is what we have right now. You can see that I'm fixing some of these shapes. The best thing about the cloth is, even if you don't polish the surface, it won't really matter, because the cloth itself, okay, first thing first, you can see like the thickness of the cloth here. So try to match that. But as I was saying, the cloth sculpting is pretty forgiving, and you're gonna see that in this video in the future, that I literally decimate the model, the final sculpt of the cloth, and it would still look good. So the final file that you will see, yeah, that file is, you can actually explore that file, by the way, to see whatever you feel like seeing. And you're gonna see that the cloth, like the headband, is actually a decimated version. And it is also the version where I've rendered the final image. So even though it's decimated, the quality is still pretty good. Alright, so now I guess we only have the marks, we actually just need to start adding some volumes. So yeah, this is, I guess, what I'm doing. I'm actually just gonna try to make these marks a little bit deeper so that I can actually add some volumes. Yeah, you can see that the smooth strength was a little bit too much, so obviously I had to change that. And yeah, just gonna try to match the volumes. You can see how it is tightly going as they're going back. You don't even need to go fully back, by the way, because there is like hair that is covering the headband, and we are gonna be adding those hairs in the near future, so that we don't have to sculpt the part that we cannot see, because right now we don't know which part we wanna be sculpting and which part we can skip. So again, because it's in portrait, we can definitely just skip the part where we don't even see, basically. So yeah, just trying to match the volumes and stuff, like literally just trying to match how I am seeing these volumes in the reference. There isn't really anything extraordinary that I'm doing. That's why I'm not really explaining everything exactly. I'm just saying some random stuff. Alright, so these are some of the volumes. These are not as hard as we have below them. So we can actually go a little bit softer on these parts. And you can see that I'm just trying to match the volumes. Like, for example, on this part, we have some volume on the upper side of the wrinkle, like over here. So I'm just trying to match that. One of the best thing is you don't even have to match it 100%. Like it's not likeness or something. We are just trying to match the wrinkles a little bit, and in the end, even if they don't match 100% but look good, that would just do the job actually. So don't really care about the likeness or how much volume you want to add. Just make sure that it looks good, right? Just make sure that the cloth that you've sculpted is making sense, is looking real, and also is looking good. So these are the only things that we need to take care of basically. Alright, so you can see that I'm literally just inflating the upper part of the wrinkle so that it looks similar to the reference. And again, the idea is pretty simple. The idea is to match what we are seeing the reference. Okay, so now I guess we are gonna be adding that hair volume so that we can know exactly how much of the hair band is gonna be seen through the hairs, and how much we can, like how much we can skip sculpting basically. So that's what the idea is. You can see this is sim similar to the volume of the hairs that we have in the reference. So whatever is gonna be behind the hairs is the area which we won't be able to see, right? So we can literally just skip sculpting that part. Alright, we don't have that on the other side, so I've removed that. And now we can actually just continue sculpting on the band. Now that we know which part is gonna be visible and which part is gonna be not visible. Alright, so now in this whole video, I guess I'm actually just gonna sculpt the hairband, and you're gonna see that I'm also gonna be increasing the resolution and gonna re-sculpt some of the wrinkles actually. Not all of them, but some of them, especially on the left side of his face. So yeah, this is basically it in this video, and I'll actually just leave now that I've talked about what I'm gonna do, because again it just does not make sense for me to commentate on whole the video because it's pretty simple stuff I think. And yeah, I'll just go, and if you want to you can just speed up the video in Udemy, and yeah, I'll just see you in the next one where we'll do something. I don't know what, but yeah, we're gonna do something hair related, I think. All right. So similarly, just like we did the headband, we are going to be doing some torso cloth sculpting basically. And this is the final sculpt. You can look at it. Um, I mean, you've seen it in the video, but maybe if you have skipped the video, then this is how it looks. And you're gonna see that I don't even polish it. Like I don't retopo, I don't fix anything, and all this swirliness, like all these surface. How do you say it? Surface abnormalities that you can see. This is gonna stay, and it is still gonna look pretty awesome. So yeah, I don't think that I actually need to do anything over here. Now what we have in the skull right now, it's gonna look pretty fine. So yeah, this part over here we've redid it, and yeah, this is what we have. So also I think I don't really remember because I've literally, yeah, I think I've cropped the back part because we didn't really needed it, and this is what we have. So because we actually are not being able to see that, we don't really need it, and the mesh was a bit too high poly, so I've just thought, just crop that out. Okay, so now we can just talk about some of the torso stuff. You can see that we basically have two clothes here. The one is the jacket thing, and the second one is underneath that jacket thing, right? And yeah, also we have the stitching and like the stitching on the jacket, but this is something that we're gonna be doing in the last video. So yeah, we also have this belt, this leather belt, and you can say that we have three things actually. So these are the stuff that we are gonna be making now, and if you want to, you can actually just download a base mesh from which you can actually just extract some of this stuff, and obviously you can just add a sphere and put that into the shape, but right now my first priority is to save time, and because I want to do that, I am actually just gonna be downloading a base. Now doesn't really matter what the topology is, doesn't really matter how accurate the anatomy is, just download a base that is okayish looking, and this is the one that I'm actually gonna download, and we are gonna be using it to extract the clothes, extract the torso basically. So let me just download it and import it, and then we can just start extracting some stuff. So this is the size. Obviously it's bigger, we didn't know how big this would actually be. So let's just scale it down, match the size of the head maybe. You again don't have to be 100% accurate, just make sure that it look okay. And now we can just extract some of the clothes. But first we obviously need to remove the head. So I'm just gonna be selecting some of the edge loops. You can just press C and select all the extra stuff. We don't really need it. We only need this mesh to extract the clothes, so the topology and stuff, it doesn't really matter. Now let's look at it. You can also look at it through the reference, by the way. And I feel like that the shoulder, like the Johnny Depp's shoulder, they are not really as wide as this guy's is. So if you really want to, you can just decrease the shoulder width as well. But let's see what I'll do. Alright, so you can see how we have this jacket thing. So we can extract the jacket first, or the clothes like beneath the jacket, so it doesn't really matter. But first thing first, I'm just going to be applying the scale, and we're going to go into the sculpt mode, and let's actually adjust it a little bit. So you can see how we have this going on. The idea is not to pose the head. Actually, you can, if you think about it, we are also posing him, kind of posing him. Not exactly, but yeah, you can say something similar to the posing. I mean, I don't really want to make the head rotate because we have the hairs, we have headband and the hairs. I mean, there are so many things actually. It's better to just pose the shoulders. So that's what I'm doing right now. And after we are done with that, we can actually pose the mesh itself a little bit. If you want to, you can actually just mask out some of the stuff. You can see that I am gonna be accidentally changing the jaw area. So I had to undo it so that I don't accidentally change anything on the face part. Oh, by the way, do you know if you have random enabled in the viewport section, your wireframe also gets random look. So that's pretty awesome actually. I didn't knew that before this course. Alright, so this is what we have. I know it looks weird, but we only need this to extract the clothes. So I think something like this is gonna be fine. We don't really need to get something super polished mesh. All right, so yeah, I am gonna be the first one to say that it definitely looks weird, but the reason it is looking weird is because you are seeing it through the whole camera. Imagine that the resolution of the camera is square, and you're gonna see that it is making sense. If you just look at it through the portrait, like through an square resolution kind of and ratio, you're gonna be able to make sense out of it. But yeah, right now this is what we have, and we also need to adjust this part actually so that the chest it does not look like we had a little bit of gap. Okay, just ignore it, it's gonna make sense in the future, I think. So this is what we have, and I guess now we can extract it, right? Because we've adjusted everything. So is there anything else for me to do? I don't think there is anything else for me to do. I think extracting the mesh and sculpting it is like the only thing that's left. So let's see. All right, yeah, I think I'm finally going to the draw face set brush, and we can actually just actually the best thing would be to just look at it through the camera, and yeah, but still I am doing the jacket first. Oh no, not the jacket. The cloth that is underneath the jacket is gonna be done first, as you can see. Alright, now we can actually just extract it by selecting the face set and extracting it. So this is what we have. Again, I am gonna be increasing the thickness so that everything intersect, and we can just create a solid shape, basically a watertight shape. So something like this is, I think, gonna be okay. But you can see as we'll, yeah, it is okay. We're gonna have to manually do the inflation actually. So let's just press Control R, and the resolution is a little bit too much right now. So let's decrease it. Yeah, I think this is gonna be better. And now we can just go to like shade flat, because again I really like to work in the shade flat view, and we're gonna have to inflate it actually. So let's just do that. Oh yeah, you can just use the mesh filter in order to inflate everything. This is, I think, is the easiest way to do, and it also gives you consistent result. Even though in this case it doesn't really matter, but yeah, it's still okay, I guess. So now we can actually just continue sculpting. So just look at the reference and just try to match. There isn't really anything exceptional, and yeah, this is like the method that I'm showing, right? So you can ignore the area which you cannot really see. For example, this is the part where we're gonna be having jacket, so you don't even have to do anything, any wrinkles here, right? You can just ignore that, and that's what I'll do. All right, I think am I gonna be cropping some stuff or no? Wait, I think I'm gonna be extracting the jacket now. So yeah, that also makes sense, just just create a base first without going into the proper sculpting. So I guess it actually makes sense to extract both of the cloth pieces and then have them in front of you simultaneously, and just sculpt on them basically. So yeah, so it's kind of like a blocking. You can say that we are blocking the shapes first, and then we can actually just start adding all the wrinkles and the cloth details. You don't even have to do the back area, but I am just gonna do it a little bit. Um, like you are not gonna be seeing the whole part. I'm just doing something like this because this is the only part that we can see in the camera. So if you think about the workflow, we are basically just doing the same thing, blocking stuff out first and then going into the details. So yeah, we are just repeating that in the clothes as well. We did with the painting as well, when we painted the base color for the head. We've literally blocked out the colors first. So if you think about it, the approach doesn't really changes. It's literally the same for everything. So yeah, let's just extract this out as well, and we'll just do the same thing. So let's increase the solidify, and I'm gonna try to make it a full solid. So if I were to just, okay, this particular mesh, we're gonna have to go into the edit mode and I think fix it manually. So I'll just apply it and go into the edit mode and we can just push it back. You don't really need to be super accurate again because we are gonna be remeshing it. So just to do a decent, like just push it back. Yeah. I sometimes just overcomplicate some stuff while saying. So yeah, just to do a remesh and after that we can just inflate it, or maybe I can inflate it now. No, I am gonna be doing a remesh first and then we are gonna be inflating it. Alright, so am I gonna even inflate it or not? Because this is a commentary, sometimes I am in confusion whether I'm gonna do that or not. So let's see. Okay, first thing first, we don't want this to be, I think I'm not gonna inflate it. And the reason for that is we actually want to maintain the thickness, right? And I'm gonna have to do that manually. So yeah, let's actually see what I'll do next. First thing first, you just need to look at the reference and how they are going. You can see how much you can see the jacket, for example. In this area, it is all covered in behind the hair, so you don't really need to think about it too much. In this area, you can definitely see the border and you can see the border over here. So whatever we can see in the reference is like the only area that we're gonna be keeping in mind. Like we're gonna be sculpting actually. So let's increase the resolution because right now the resolution is way too low. And let's use the scrape brush and just polish the edge. Right now the edge is a little bit jaggedy. How do you even say it? Like jaggedy? I don't know. It's a bit not non-uniform. Yeah, I think non-uniform would be a better word. So we're gonna have to just polish it out and adjust it according to the reference, like the border of this particular area. So let's decrease the polygon count. I think the polygon count was a bit too much. Sometimes I just go with the flow. So this is, I think, a better polygon count, and we are getting a really nice edge for the jacket. Obviously we're gonna have to adjust it. So yeah, we're gonna have to adjust all the edges just like we did with the outer one. Right now all the edges are weird, but obviously we don't even need to think about the back area. We can literally just skip the back area. We can skip the bottom area as well because we won't be able to see that in the reference. But yeah, let's just scrape this out and make it flat, even though we cannot really see that. So you can literally just skip that area as well. You can skip this area because you cannot really see it, but there is a like an border area, this part. Yeah, you can see this area. So we're gonna have to fix this. So let's just use the scrape brush over here and make this part a little bit flatter. You don't want to go, you don't have to go over you don't have to do the whole area because you cannot even see the whole area. So yeah, just skip that, and now I'm gonna be using the grab brush and I'm gonna just try to match it with the reference actually. So let's just use the grab brush and try to match as best as we possibly can. So yeah, you can actually use the sharper follow for the grab brush. So let's just do that because sometimes it is easier to adjust the edges like this with the sharper follow. Yeah, because you basically get something like this. So yeah, we're gonna have to push it towards the left part, and I'm always talking from the perspective of Johnny Depp, just in case if you get a little bit confused. So we are literally just matching the border, border of the jacket. and this is what we have. So yeah, let's adjust it as best as we possibly can, and then we can just start adding all the cloth details, like all the wrinkles and stuff. But right now the first priority is to block stuff out and to adjust these edges. So yeah, let's just do that. All right, as you can see, the area which could be seen in the render is like the only area that I'm working on right now, and this is always gonna be the priority. Obviously, I'm gonna be fixing some of the stuff to the other area as well, but you're gonna see that that I won't really fix everything. And again, this is only for portrait. If you are doing this for production, obviously you're not gonna do that. Like in production, you need to make sure that every single part works right from all the angle. Doesn't really matter if it is visible in the camera or not. It should just work from all the angles. But in this case, I can get away with not working on the whole area and only work on the area that could be seen through the camera. So yeah, we do have some sort of privileges there. And now I think we are going to be making the belt part. So the simplest thing would be to actually just add a plane and do some sort of retopo. In this case, I am going to be enabling the snapping, and the individual face is on. So we are just going to be start snapping it, and then we can just move it outside, like move out with the normal. So yeah, let's actually just create a belt like this. Obviously, look at the reference. That would be a little bit better thing to do. And I am just gonna be pushing this back towards the neck area, literally how it's looking in the reference. So yeah, just do that. You don't really need to be super accurate in the back, because again, you cannot really see that. So yeah, you can just get away with whatever you want to do at the back. So now we just need to adjust these points according to the reference through the camera, so that they actually look a little bit better. And yeah, you can see that I'm actually just adjusting these points. Also make sure that the thickness is consistent, like even if you are adjusting these points, adjust the opposite one of them, so that the thickness does not really change. Alright, so this is what we have. And now you can see that I'm actually working on the thickness. So I can literally just go into the local view to only adjust the thickness. Right now the thickness is a little bit too much, so I'm gonna make sure that it makes sense. And if you are struggling, you can actually just look at the thickness in the reference on the side. So yeah. Alright, so this is something. Yeah, okay, we definitely need to fix a little bit of spacing, but I don't know if I'm gonna do that right now. Okay, I'm not really doing that right now. Maybe I'll do that in the future, but yeah, let's just push them out to make them outside. Like, we don't want them to be the inner part of like the cloth, right? They are supposed to be the outermost part of the cloth. So let's just push them out. And don't bend too much, like don't bend them too much, because they're leather belt and they're not supposed to have too much wrinkles. So we don't really need to sculpt anything. We can just get away with doing some simple modeling, and it should still work. So this is what we have, and now we can just do the border area, I guess, or maybe not. We might have to, not might, we definitely have to adjust this part, like the neck area of our jacket, because it is kind of looking weird. And we can literally just delete the mesh part now. I don't know when I'm gonna do that, but we are definitely gonna be deleting that. So now let's just start sculpting some stuff over here. You're gonna see that we have to extend the chest area a little bit, so that it actually works a little bit better. So yeah, let's just go over there, and I'm gonna just push it down. Yeah, something like this. And now we need to adjust the shape of the jacket. Am I even gonna do that? Yeah, I mean, there is an inner cloth that's gonna be there, so I think I can skip the area and add that inner cloth thing to cover up the hole that we can see in the neck area. But yeah, right now we actually just need to polish stuff. I can add that a little bit later. And yeah, I guess now all we need to do is to sculpt some stuff. I don't think that there is anything else for me to do right now. We've blocked out everything. So if you think about it, in this video we've actually blocked out stuff, and that's why I'm gonna give this video the title of torso clothes blockout or something like that. Yeah, I think that would make sense, and we are gonna be start sculpting, like properly sculpting stuff in the next video, I guess. So yeah, I think it's good, blocking out is also kind of important. So all right, this is basically what we have, and you can actually just enable the pass out, sorry, not the pass out but the pass part out to highest, so that we don't actually see anything outside the camera, because it could be a little bit distracting. So yeah, I think this is better. And the neck area of the jacket that is looking a little bit weird right now, we are gonna be adding the inner cloth area, and yeah, I think that's gonna work pretty nicely as well. And now that this video is also about to end, I'll just see you in the next one, because we have to do a whole lot of things, so it's best that we save as much time as we possibly can, right? So yeah, I'll just see you in the next one. Alright, so in this video we are obviously gonna be start sculpting the cloth, and I'll actually just give you the disclaimer. Cloth is not really as complicated as skin, so I don't really need to explain everything, which means half of the video is going to be the time lapse actually. And I really hope that you understand. I mean, this course was more about likeness, right? If you've seen the title of the course, it is more about the likeness, and now that we've achieved it, I think it's all the extra stuff that we are doing to basically complete a portrait. So yeah, that's the reason that I'm speeding things up at this point. So yeah, let's actually just start by doing the similar thing. I am literally just marking stuff, before going into the volumes and stuff. So literally just doing the same thing, and using the grab brush, you can see that I'm literally adjusting the border of the jacket with the reference, because it was a little bit too far outside. So using the grab brush to push them into the place, and again we are actually just gonna start marking stuff and then adding volumes. But let's just obviously adjust some of these volumes first. Not the volume, the border. Alright, yep, the border. So this is what we have, and you don't even need to polish anything. Like the surface of the cloth, it doesn't really need to look super polished or super smooth, because cloth in general is not really that smooth, right? And even if you leave the cloth a little bit wrinkly, a little bit not polished, it is still gonna look fine, and you're gonna see that actually in the render. Actually, you've already seen it in the render, so I don't even need to explain it to you. But the first priority would be to just adjust this border thing that we can see in the reference. And the good thing is that we have a camera set it up for it, so it is kind of easier to match one by one. Obviously, I'm not gonna try to match 100% everything, because again, it is just gonna be time consuming. So I'm just gonna be matching in the ballpark of it. Like it just needs to make sense, it just needs to good look, and then I'll be happy. So that's what the idea is. Obviously, if you want to, you can push it a little bit further, but yeah, I mean, it's my personal choice. You can always just go with better, like go for better results. If I were to do this for production, I would have 100% gone for something really awesome, like the best thing that I can do, but because this is just in portrait, and the main goal of this course have already been achieved, so I was just rushing stuff at this point. Alright, so now you can see that removing these volumes actually have caused a little bit of hole in our mesh. It's not exactly hole, the other mesh actually have been poking, so we need to push that back So I'm just selecting that and pushing it back so that we can sculpt on the outer part of the jacket. And now we should be able to just push it down a little bit more, because that's how much volume we can see in the reference. So yeah, you can see me pushing it back. All right, I think yeah, I mean, literally I'm just doing the same thing. I am just looking at the reference, marking stuff, and then trying to play with the volume. So at this point, I've only removed the volume. So I guess we can just add the volume now. And you can see that I am not even marking, or am I even marking? Yeah, I am, I think, gonna be marking it. This is again just my workflow. You are you are free to use your own. Maybe you add volumes in better way. Obviously, that if you are adding volumes that you feel like is comfortable for you, then obviously go for that particular way. It is just it's just that I add the volumes like this. So yeah, I am not even marking anything at this point. I'm just saying that I'm gonna mark stuff, but I'm not really doing it right now. So I guess sometimes you can just skip all the marking things and just use your main brush and just go in. So that's also, I guess, is a workflow, and it could change from situation to situation. For a wrinkle on the face, I would have definitely marked first, but because this particular volume is pretty clear to me, I guess going straight in is a better approach. All right, so this is what we have, and we have some wrinkles in between that we need to add. So let's just smooth stuff out, and then we can just start adding those wrinkles. All right, so you can see that I'm actually back to my old ways. I am marking first, and this is actually just how I like to sculpt. Again, I think I've said it too many times. At this point, I don't even wanna say what I'm gonna do next, because you guys must, you guys should already know that, right? And there isn't really anything complicated as well. Like, I'm literally just trying to match the volumes and the shapes and everything, which is obviously similar to the stuff that I've already did. So yeah, I don't really feel like that I'm adding anything to the commentary at this point. But obviously, one of the things that you need to make sure that you do is to just make sure that it looks good. Said it too many times already. And just trying to make these changes. Okay, this is something that I feel like this cloth have, where it kind of have this U kind of a wrinkle. So I'll just edit that. Even though I felt like that it didn't really look nice, but it looked good. Wait, that wasn't a really good sentence. I mean, it looked okay. It looked real actually. And I felt like that it's okay. No one's really noticing that anyway. So I was actually okay by doing something like this. And as I've told you, I was kind of in the hurry at this point. I just needed to finish the cloth sculpting at least, so that I can just go to the hair thing, because I feel like hair were more important. So I also enjoyed doing the hairs a little bit more as well, if I'm being honest. Even though I do really enjoy the sculpting, but because this course already took a whole lot of time, I was just kind of done with the course. And don't think that I've did it because it is kind of boring to do this. It's just that it's a course, right? And I had to edit it as well. If I were to just do this as a personal project, then I would have just given it all the time that I had. But because this is an course and it's a tutorial, and I know that I'm gonna be dubbing it as well, and I'm gonna be editing it as well, I know that I have to complete it as soon as I possibly can. So if I had a situation where I would not have converted this project into a course, I would have given every bit of time, to make it look as good as I possibly can. At least the cloth area as well. Obviously, I made it look as good as I possibly can in the face and the hairs, but for clothes, I kinda did an okayish job. And I'm not saying that the clothes are looking bad or anything. The clothes are looking pretty good still, but I could have done better. So yeah, I'm not trying to say that don't give time to the clothes or anything. Give 100% of your time. It's just that I had a situation where I needed to save time. So, I thought clothes maybe are one of those areas where I can save some time. All right. So as you can see that I'm actually just adding these volumes and yeah, I mean just following the reference. There isn't really anything else. And using the draw brush is I think pretty good for the clothes. That's what I've realized. At least you can use the draw brush and the draw sharp brush. They both really works nice for the clothes, and I think they work really good, at least for the clothes. That's what I feel like. That's why I usually just use the draw brush. Oh yeah, these stitches, yeah, we are not really gonna be making them, but I don't think that it should be really that complicated for you to make them. I really hope that you do know how to add those, right? I mean, we are not gonna be adding them in this course, but I really hope that you do know how to add them, right? So yeah. All right, so this is what we have. We obviously need to do a little bit of better transition between the wrinkles, because right now the wrinkles, they are stopping suddenly, and we want to make sure that they don't stop that suddenly. So yeah, let's actually just start adding some volumes and make the wrinkles a little bit smoother, and make them go into the clothes a little bit smoother actually. Also in this case, I remember that I don't really follow the reference 100%, because obviously of the human error, we have to kind of do something on our own, and made it look like that this is kind of our own thing. Also, this particular wrinkle that I'm adding, it's not something in the reference, and I'm not copying it from the reference, but I wanted to make the cloth, like the jacket cloth, not to be flat. Like I don't want this to look flat, and that's why I'm just adding some wrinkles over here. All right, we have to smooth it out. So you can actually use the scrape or anything. In this case, I'm using the clay strip brush. So yeah, I must have accidentally pulled it down. So it's okay. It's totally okay. By the way, we also need to sculpt the inner part, like the shirt. Is it a shirt? I don't know. If I don't really think it's a shirt, but whatever it is, the thing that is wearing underneath the jacket thing, we're also gonna be doing that. And this particular part, man. All right, now that I know it, I won't be able. I was not really able to pull it off. So instead of this particular thing, like this hair thing, I've actually just replaced it with a dreadlock. Because dreadlock is looking pretty nice. So yeah, if you were to replicate this particular braid, by the way, the twisty braid, then please let me know how you were actually able to create it. So yeah, so that I could learn as well. And now I'm just gonna give you the time lapse of sculpting the cloth, so that you don't actually have to hear me repeating the same stuff again and again. All right, so we are done with the clothes. At least for now, we are gonna be doing all the stitching and stuff a little bit later. But you can see this is what we have. Now you can also see that I really haven't polished anything, and as I've said before too many times, that clothes, they are pretty forgiving, and you don't really need them to be super smooth, polished, surfaced. And this is what we have. And I've also created this belt using some of the solidify modifier. And this is basically the clothing. Actually, I'm not really gonna sculpt anything else. And for the sculpting of the clothes, we are pretty much done. And now we can just focus on the hairs. And in this video, we are gonna be doing the mustache. So first thing first, if you were to just look at the hairs, he does have a whole lot of them, right? So we are gonna be adding some of these hairs like this, and the dreadlocks, they are gonna be different from the plain. We are not gonna continue the head hair and basically convert them into the dreadlocks, because in real life that's what happens. So for example, in this particular braid, we are gonna be adding a plane in the area where I've just pointed my cursor. And yeah, this is basically going to be the workflow. I'll just show it to you. And if you were to look at this braid, you can see that some sort of thread is going around it. We are going to be adding that as well. So it's going to be fun, something like this, which is weird. But yeah, you can actually just select and curve and just use that to add it. And we also have a whole lot of stuff going on. For example, these swirly things that is tying the hairs together. And yeah, there are so many things basically. And the eyebrows, we are not really seeing all the eyebrows. So we are only going to be making the amount that we are seeing. And then the soul patch, you can basically just see the shape of it, beard. I mean, we obviously have a whole lot of stuff to make, but we can actually just start with the mustache first. So mustache is going to be the most simple thing. And yeah, I think... yeah, we can actually just get started. So yeah, we are gonna be start by decimating the face, because sculpting, or you can say grooming the hairs on a high resolution mesh is super laggy. So as you can see, I am just gonna be creating a duplicate of the face, and we're gonna go into the local view, and you can just apply the multi-resolution modifier. But in this case, I'm not gonna apply at the lowest subdivision. I'm gonna be adding a subdivision, and then I'm gonna be applying it. So now we have something like this. We have much more closer mesh to the face basically. And now wherever we don't want the hairs, we can actually just delete that area. For example, the top of the head. I should not have deleted that, by the way, because we do need that part, but I did. And I think I am gonna be adding a separate mesh for the head hairs. And you can see that we kind of have some hairs on the chest as well. I mean, just a little bit. So I'm just gonna keep them. But most of the hairs that you are seeing on the chest, they are coming out of the braid, right? So not really that much, but you can still add a little bit of them. It's totally fine, you know. Oh wait, I'm just deleting that. Okay, yeah. So forget everything that I've just said a minute ago. I am just gonna be removing everything. Oh wait, I've already did that. I've already have a copy. That's nice. So we've literally just copy pasted that, and I must have been trying some stuff out. That's why it's here. So now we can just start grooming him. So yeah, let's just wait. What am I doing with the timeline? I sometimes just does not even understand my own stuff. So I guess I'm just gonna press Shift A. Or what? Oh yeah, I'm just talking about that, why you should not be using the particle system, especially in this case, because it's in portrait and we are not going to be simulating anything. I guess it's okay to not use the particle system, because you get less control in the particle system. So instead, we are going to be using the curves, like the curves that Blender have added. And by the way, I'm going to put the viewport display to strip, and the subdivision is going to be the highest that you can get. In this case, I guess it's 2. So we are gonna be getting some thickness in the viewport. And yeah, we can actually just remove the particle system and add the curve fur. Actually, I am going to be adding the empty hairs, but you can see this is what we are going to be using in order to groom him, right? And again, I'm actually telling it to you again that if you are simulating something, don't use this, like this version. Like, don't use the curves, use the particle system. And if you don't want to simulate, then you can actually just use whatever you want. In this case, I'm going to be using the curves because I feel like I get more control in them. So yeah, I kind of like them a little bit more than the particle system. So let's actually just remove this fur, and you can see that you can just switch it to strip, and switching to strip basically gives you the exact amount of thickness that your hair is gonna get. So it's kind of easier to judge whether the thickness or whether the density of the hairs are good or not. So I'm just gonna be selecting the mesh and add the empty hair thing, and then just go into the sculpt mode and start adding the hairs. So you can just choose the add button, and you can, with these settings, just choose your hair curve length, right? So whatever curve length you want. In this case, we're gonna have to do some trial and error thing, and I'm just putting it to 0.01, and the curve count, sorry, points per curve count is going to be 16, because we don't really want too much resolution in the mustache, right? The hairs are not gonna be super swirly or anything, they're gonna be pretty much straight. So we don't really need that much point, and I'm just gonna be adding one hair. So if you were to go to your asset browser, you can see that we have pre-made modifiers by Blender that you can actually use. So first thing first, we are gonna be using the set hair curve profile so that we can give the thickness to the hair. So this is what we have, and we are always going to be doing something similar for all the grooms, where we are going to be just setting up the profile, and you can see the thickness. By the way, we can rotate the HDRI to better see the hairs. Oh wait, I'm literally just removing the materials. Yeah, that is also something that you can do, and I've made it black, so that's pretty nice. I think I should just make the hairs a little bit darker. That's gonna make more sense, right? So this is what we have, and you can see this is how it looks. So by the way, you can see it looks flat, right? And you can change that if you were to go to your curve setting. Wait, it's not in the curve setting. Yeah, it's in the curve setting, and then just the shape. If you were to just put it at 3D cursor, you are gonna get this. And you can see it is looking a little bit weird, but it's because we are in the orthographic view. If you were to switch it to perspective view, it's gonna look perfectly fine. So if I were to just switch it to perspective view, you can say it's clipping, but it is much more smoother. So this gives much realistic result, and you should only use it if you're going really close, by the way. And in orthographic view, it does give you weird shading, which for some reason rounded ribbon method does not give. So we are gonna be using, I think, 3D curves because it's more realistic. It is an actual geometry there. So this is pretty much the setup. I don't think that we need anything else to change in the setting. So we can just go into the sculpt mode and start sculpting. I'm gonna delete that because we are gonna be using the symmetry. And so yeah, let's actually just enable that. Alright, let's enable it. Sometimes I don't. Okay, come on. Enable the symmetry. Yo. Okay, I am actually just adding the image. Okay, so this image, you can see where he grows his mustache hairs. And because the hairs in the Jack Sparrow image was a little bit longer, we were not really able to see from where exactly the hairs were growing. And in this image, you can see like the area where the hairs were growing. So yeah, we are just gonna be following that, and just start adding some of the hairs. Now I'm gonna now enable the symmetry now, finally. Yep. Okay, so let's actually just start adding the hairs. You don't really have to be super accurate because the density is gonna be defined by a mask in the end, and you're gonna see that actually. So before we do that, let's talk about the direction in which the hairs are going. You can see that we have multiple of these hairs. You don't want to create a long hair like I've drawn on the right side. You want to create smaller hairs like this in threes maybe. don't make a bigger one like I've drawn on the right side, because that would not look realistic. All right, so you can see that I'm doing some smaller hairs, and we are just gonna make sure that it makes sense. Also, just add some volume in between. For example, you can see how it is going down straight. We don't want that. Just add a little bit of volume. So just add the volume in the middle area, just like I'm adding right now, and this should look much more real, by the way. All right, so this is what we have. Now we can just adjust some of the direction stuff from the front. So yeah, this is the direction that I'm drawing right now. So we want to make sure that the hairs also follow the direction. So the hair that we have right now, it's not doing that. So I'm just going to push it towards the right. And I'm talking about from my perspective. All right, so we are gonna be removing the annotation. You can also remove the annotation by deleting the keyframe from the timeline. You don't have to press the N and go to the annotation section. Now that we have one here, we are gonna be just using the length, shape, and point count interpolate, so that whenever we add new hair, they basically follow the previous hair, and we don't have to change the length and size of the hairs every time. So we can just do that, and let's just start adding some of the hairs. So yeah, you can see that I'm literally just adding the hairs where I'm seeing in the reference. You don't have to be that accurate. I'm just adding that because I don't know why am I even adding that. But yeah, you don't have to be super accurate with this. The hairs are also pretty forgiving, by the way, and you're gonna see that. So obviously we are not gonna be able to match 100% accurately, because that would require for us to match each and every single hair. So we're gonna just make sure that it looks good with all the variation that hairs have, all the natural variation. So alright, so one of the things that you can see, we need to extend the hair to the right a little bit more, because if you were to look at the reference, you're gonna realize that the hairs, they're going till the nasal level fold crease, right? And in our case, they are not. So we're gonna have to extend them a little bit. By the way, the hairs that we are grooming, they're not responsible for the place where the hairs are gonna be. They're not responsible for the density. They're only responsible for the direction of the hairs. So we're gonna have to create a mask, and I'm gonna obviously show it to you. So yeah, I mean, you can actually just add the hairs wherever you want them, just for the sake of visual purposes. But if you think about it, they're not really contributing towards the density or anything. So as the hairs are gonna go down, like the hairs that are gonna be near to the lips, they are gonna be a little bit shorter. Otherwise, you can think that they're gonna just cover the whole lip area. So we're gonna have to make them a little bit shorter. And in the middle part, I am just making the hairs go in the opposite direction of each other, because that is something that I can see in the reference as well. Also gonna try to decrease the volume of the hairs, so you can see what we have right now, because they were coming out a little bit too much. All right, so let's just push them inside a little bit to decrease the volume, but don't make them flat. That is also something that we don't want. So now that we have this groom, we can actually just start adding some of the hair, like the children hair, and define where we want the density. So let's just use the interpolate modifier, and we're gonna go straight into the modifier section. You're gonna have to choose the mesh on which you want the hairs. And now if you were to just increase the density, right now the density is 10, let's just add a bunch of zeros in front of it. So this is the density, right? This is what we have, but it's on the whole face. We don't want that. So we basically want to tell Blender where we want the hairs and where we don't want the hairs. So in order to do that, we're going to have to create a mask. And it is pretty simple actually. All you need to do is, let's just, okay, first thing first, you need to put the mask into this density mask slider. So this is where we're going to have to put our mask. And you can also create an image, but in this case, we're not going to do that. We are going to be just using the color attribute for it. So You can see that we already have a color attribute named mooch, and mooch is the Hindi word for mustache. So yeah, you can see that I was already trying some stuff out, and this is the density that I've painted. So yeah, if you can think, wherever we have black, we are gonna have hairs, and wherever we have white, we are not gonna have hairs. So this is what we have, and you can just paint it. I mean, I don't even have to show you, I think, how to paint with black, right? So just look at the reference that you have and try to match it. I'm gonna be removing some of the middle part because I can see that that mustache does not grow in that middle area. So I'm just gonna be removing that, and we're gonna have to use this mask with the interpolate to see exactly how the hairs are looking, and then we can just adjust the mask, you know. So right now we are just doing some guesswork, but how exactly the hairs are gonna look, we can only tell that only if we were to use this mask, basically. So let's just go into the object view and try and use this mask. So let's just select the hairs, and you need to go to the modifier, interpolate, and move them to nodes because we are going to be using the nodes. But don't you worry, it's not really that complicated. It's pretty simple actually. So if I were to just home the nodes, we can just create some space over here, and this is where we can put something. So density mask, right? So we're going to be just duplicating this node, the attribute node, and we are going to be just selecting the attribute that we've created, in this case mooch, which is mustache, and we're just going to be putting this into the density mask. Now you can see that we have hair wherever we don't want the hairs, so we're going to have to invert it. So just search for invert, or maybe color ramp, I think. Yeah, I am going to be using the color ramp and invert the flags. So now we have this. You can see how it looks, right? All right, so this is basically the area where we are getting the mustache. So now we can actually just increase the density, and you can see how we have this. If you feel like that the hairs are not at the right place, you can always just go to your vertex paint mode or sculpt mode and just paint a better mask, basically. So this is what we have, and now we can just start doing some more stuff. For example, making the, let's see, what am I gonna do? All right, I think we want a little bit more separation in the middle, and that's why I'm adding hairs in between and just gonna start separating them. So this is clearly something that we can see in the reference as well. That's why I'm doing it, you know. So just gonna add this and just separate it out is what I'm doing basically. And yeah, you can see how it looks. So I really hope that it actually made sense what I've just did. You know, you can see that in the reference we have this separation in the middle. So I've just tried to copy that. And doesn't really matter how many parent hairs you add, the density won't change. The only thing that would change is the length of the hairs and the shape of the hairs. That's why you're gonna see that I'm gonna be decreasing or increasing the length of some of the parent hairs, and the children hairs are gonna follow that length. So I think we can increase. I think we can increase the. We can spread the hairs a little bit more. But before that, I'm just adding the noise modifier. Obviously, at this point, a whole lot of trial and error is gonna start. I don't remember the settings of the noise, right? So we're gonna have to just figure out the settings, and first thing first, we obviously need to increase the scale because right now the scale is a bit too much, and we need to preserve the length because the length was getting out of hand. So this is what we have. So let's just increase the scale to something that makes sense, and we also need to decrease the factor and stuff. So the scale that we are using is 100, and if I were to decrease the factor, you can see it is giving us much more natural result. So this is one of the thing that we're gonna be doing a whole lot. Obviously, I don't remember any of the settings that I use while making the mustache or the beard. So we're gonna have to go through the settings and look at the mustache to see which setting is basically working for us, and which setting we can play around with. So this is basically a workflow, and you just have to go through each settings, like the settings that make sense, and then basically just play around with that to see which one is working for you and which one is not. And that trial and error is basically going to give you the result. So this is the setting that I have right now, and that's how the mustache is looking. I can say that it is already looking pretty nice, but I think we are gonna be adding a clump on top of it. Okay, no, not clump, but the roll here. So this is also something that I'm trying out. I think the hairs are gonna be rolling a little bit. So let's see. We don't really have to use all of this stuff at 100% strength. We can actually just decrease the factor and layer stuff on top of each other. And yeah, that could actually give us really, really nice results. So if you were to just decrease the radius, this is what you're gonna get. It might be useful for something, and it actually is useful for the headband fur thing that we have. But obviously for the mustache, we're gonna have to increase the radius and decrease the factor, because we don't want the hairs to roll that much. So I am gonna be just decreasing the roll length as well, as you can see. And yeah, I mean, I'm not even at the point of making this. I obviously don't remember the settings, right? So I'm just trying some trial and error, basically just trying to see which thing is looking good, like which setting is looking good. And that's basically it. Like, there is no secret setting or secret number that I'm using. I'm just looking at the mustache and just trying to figure out which thing, like which setting is working best for me. So this is what we have right now, and I think yeah, it is looking okay. But the factor was, I was about to say that the factor was a little bit too much, so we can just um, decrease that a little bit. So this is what we have, and if we were to compare it with the real reference, I think we can yeah, we can actually add another layer of noise on top of that. So yeah, I mean, just add whatever you want, and the best part is you can add these noise, and then you can actually just remove the noise whenever you want. And if that does not work, you can just delete the modifier as well. So don't shy away with trial and error. It's not really going to be how do I say it? It's not really that destructible. Yeah, the workflow is not destructible, so you can literally do whatever you want. And you can see we actually want the hairs to come down like this. Right now we don't have that, so we need to increase the density in that area. So I guess we're going to go into the paint and also increase the length of the hairs. So these are the two things that we can do in order to achieve something similar. And yeah, let's just do that. So I'm gonna be removing the annotation, and yeah, the first thing that I'm doing is increasing the size of the hairs. So basically the length of the hairs, not the size. And as I've talked before, that the hairs that are going to be near the lips, they are going to be a little bit shorter. So I'm just doing that, and now we're gonna go into the sculpt mode to increase the mask area. So I'm just gonna be doing that, and as you can see, I'm basically increased the mask in this nose area, because I feel like that we can just do that, and also increasing the mask where we want the hairs to grow. So yeah, you can see that the hairs are coming down a little bit more, and that's what we wanted, so that's good. I just want the hairs to curl inwards a little bit more. Right now they are just going straight down, so I think we can change that a little bit. All right, so first thing first, I guess we can actually just what am I gonna do? Let's see. So yeah, I'm in the mustache setting, and we are just gonna be increasing the, all right, increasing the density. Yep. So this is what we have, and I'm gonna be putting this color to a little bit grayish tone actually, so that we can see some of the shading as well. Right now it's a little bit too dark, and we cannot really see like the volumes and stuff. So I think it's better to make it a little bit gray. Yeah, something like this. Yeah, this is actually looking much more natural. Obviously it's not the final shader, we are just giving it a color, but this is giving us much better look, so we can judge better, with the shading and stuff. The whole black color, it wasn't really giving us the shading information. So let's just divide the density by 2, and this was the density. I think, yeah, we definitely need to increase it, but not by 2. All right, I think this is much better density. Yeah, right? Yeah, I think so. We also have not figured out the radius of the hairs, so we're gonna have to do that as well. But I think right now, this is, by the way, is an total estimate. I think it's looking okay. So now we can actually just start clumping them a little bit. You can see that I've added some clumps. And if you don't want the clump to follow your parent hair, you just disable the existing guide map. And then you can actually just adjust the radius of the clump. So it's a distance setting. So you can see this is what you can get. Now, obviously, we don't want this. In the last, I think I'm going to push it up so that we basically get some sort of noise after the clumping. And this is something that I always do in the hairs. I clump them and then I add noise after that, so that there is basically some natural looking feel, right? So after clumping, I always use noise. This is something that I feel like works really, really nice. So yeah, I really like that actually. Now, this is what we have, and you've seen what I've done. I think the next thing would be, yeah, you can see that I'm actually adding another color attribute, and this attribute is for noise strength. So basically, I don't want noise on the whole mustache area. I kind of want less noise towards the end of it. So basically, in this particular area, I want less noise so that I can control the direction of the hairs a little bit more. Now with the mask, you can pretty much figure out where I want less noise, and you don't even have to paint the value itself. We can actually just control the value in the nodes. So just create a mask, and just don't worry about the value, whether the color that you are using is gray, like the right gray or not. We can just control that in the nodes, and I've said that twice. So this is basically how it would look if we were to just remove the factor, which means if we were to just put the named attribute here, and yeah, I'm literally just naming it Mooch. Okay, so because we have white and gray, wherever we had white, we are basically getting full noise. So we need to copy this value. So 1.121 or something like that, and I'm just gonna paste it over here in the value. Right, and now the maximum value, it won't go above 0.121. So basically, we are gonna get something similar like this, and we can actually just remove the mask in the black area. So you can see the part where we didn't had mask is not been affected. So yeah, this is nice. So I'm just gonna paste this in all the noise modifiers because we had two, right? Two of the modifiers. So I'm just gonna paste it in both of them, and we're gonna have to change the factor in this one, which I'm not doing, by the way. But yeah, you can see we are getting much more control, so we can groom a little bit better, and we need to increase the value over here a little bit and decrease it towards the right flag. So let's just yeah, I think 0.075 to round it off. And I'm gonna do the same over here. Actually, I don't want all the noise to be gone, and we're gonna have to fix this part. So let's just minimize it. Let's see. So this is basically the value 0.053. So we're gonna have to add it over here. So 0.053, and we are basically back. Let's just decrease the noise value so that it would be less than 0.053. And I feel like we don't even have to use the nodes in this one. I think the noise factor in this particular modifier is pretty low. We don't even have to use the nodes. And again, this is trial and error. If I would not have used the nodes in this, I would not have gotten to know that we don't really need it. So that's basically the more, I mean, this trial and error thing actually takes more time. You can see that we are getting some hairs over here in this particular area. I don't really like it, so I'm just going to be removing the mask. Yeah, this is much better now. It was looking a little bit weird. Alright, so basically what I want to say is the grooming is less about where the hairs are going and more about trial and error stuff. So yeah, that is something that you actually just need to keep in mind. And I am gonna be doing a whole lot of that. Like I'm just gonna be adding modifier, changing values and stuff. So yeah, I think we can actually add more clumping to it, right? Yeah, maybe I can decrease the distance. Um, let's see. So this is what we have in terms of clumping. I think we can actually just play around with some of the settings. So if I were to just decrease it, okay, I'm increasing the radius. This is what we are gonna get. And if I were to play around with the shape to make it a little bit more thinner, I think we can get a little bit more interesting results. So if I were to just enable the noise again, this is what we are getting. And I think the size of the clumps are a little bit too big. Even though we are getting this clumping that we were seeing in the reference, I think the radius of the clump itself is a little bit too much, and we can use the same mask, by the way, to remove clumping from the side area. As you can see, we don't really have that over here. So yeah, we can actually just do that. So I'm just gonna put the clump modifier itself into the nodes, and we are just gonna be using the same mask that we are using for the noise. So if I were to just go to the noise over here, I can just copy both of these nodes and then just paste them over here. Let's try to put this into the factor, and now you can see, oh yeah, this is a bug in Blender where sometimes you go into the render viewport and your hairs does not really show. So it's a bit weird, but it's okay. You just go out of the render viewport, save your file, and it would just start working fine. So in this case, I'm gonna put the white to the maximum because I actually want clumping in the middle part. So this is what we get. It's not you cannot really tell a whole lot of difference, but you can see that we are getting clump in the middle part of the mustache, and we are not really getting that much over here in the corner. So this is exactly what we wanted. And yeah, using the modifiers and the mask is basically achieved that. Also, I think the mustache is pretty much done. If I Yeah, I mean, I don't even have to say anything else, I think. This is pretty much going to be the workflow where we are going to be doing a whole lot of trial and error with the modifiers. And you're going to see that the grooming part itself is going to be super, super simple. The magic is going to happen in the modifiers. All the work's going to happen in the modifiers. And we're going to have to just play around with the settings. Like this is only thing that I do most of the time while doing the hairs. So yeah, I guess now that we are done, we can actually just do something else, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. All right, so we've actually created the soul patch as well. And yeah, because the method was pretty simple, I thought just not include it in a separate video and just be done with in the mustache video itself. So yeah, and we are actually just gonna be doing the beard in this video. Now, we are not gonna be including the ponytail part. Wait, not ponytail. What do you call it? Braid. Yeah, the braid part. In the similar, how do you say it? We are not gonna be making the braid from the similar, like from a single object, not an object, from a single curve mesh. Yeah, I think that would make more sense. Uh, the the braids are gonna be different. That's what I'm actually saying, and you're gonna see that in the future. So first thing first, we can actually just start with the braid first. I think so. The first thing we can do is to just paint. Okay, we are not painting. I thought we are gonna be painting, but we are not. I guess yeah. The first thing would be to just add an empty, empty curves, and we can actually just start adding the hairs. So in this case, I am going to be just increasing the length a little bit. Let's see. So yeah, I've increased the length, and now we can actually just start adding some of the hairs. Again, the hairs that we are adding doesn't really matter wherever you add. It's not something that contributes towards the density. The density is going to be we use mask for the density basically. So just do that. And where we have the braids in the beard, that area, like the hairs of that area is going to be a little bit longer. All right. So just make sure that you do that. And we are going to be adding not the clump. I actually wanted to add the profile. Yeah, it's over here, set curve profile. So yeah, I wanted to add that. You're gonna see that the workflow is pretty similar. Actually, we are gonna be adding this, and then I'm gonna delete it, and then we are just gonna be using the symmetry. So the workflow is pretty similar in all the areas, and that's just how it is, you know. So first thing first, you can see where we have the beard and where we don't have the beard. So it's just gonna help us create a really decent mask. And as it goes back, like as it goes towards the jaw area, the hair length is gonna decrease. All right. So as it goes back, I am just gonna add the hairs first. And right now the length of them hairs are similar. So we are just gonna be combing them, and you're gonna see that I'll just decrease the length as we go back. All right. So right now let's just comb it a little bit. Now let's see. So yeah, you can see that I'm actually looking for the grow shrink brush. So I'm just gonna shrink these areas. So let's just do that. And I think I did a little bit too much. Oh, wait, I'm just showing you how it works. So if you were to just control on hold, sorry, if you hold control, whatever, I've literally said that in the opposite. If you hold control, you're gonna be able to shrink. And if you just let go of the control, you're gonna be able to grow. So we are doing that. And I'm just gonna be using the same shrink brush to shrink the part that is near the jaw. And again, the reason that we are doing this is because we can just see that in the reference. Like, do I actually need to tell you the reason? Sometimes I just, I don't know what to say because I'm just doing something that is pretty obvious. So I just say some random stuff. All right, obviously now we're going to be making a mask. So beard is going to be the name. And let's actually just paint it out. So obviously we are just going to be looking at the reference and just going to try to match it. Now, one of the things that you can do in this, you don't need to create a super sharp mask. You can just create a gradient at the corner, like where the beard is starting, basically, so that we can actually go from zero density to maybe more density and then the highest amount of density. So I really hope that you like figure out what I've just said. So basically there would be a gradient from 0 to 1, and hairs would gradually increase in terms of density. So this is the mask that we have, and now we are just gonna be trying to use it. So let's just go to the again interpolate here, and you just need to select the hairs first, because if you don't, what's gonna happen is they basically just disappears, right? And if they disappear, you don't you no longer have the access to nodes, and you have to go to the outliner to basically reselect it. So in order to save them some time, just select your hairs first and then add the interpolate, and that's just gonna save some time. Alright, so this is the mask, and you just noticed that I basically just skipped the node part because I've already shown you that in the previous video. And yeah, so this is what we have, and let's actually look at it. So one of the first thing that I can notice is obviously we need to add some noise and stuff, because right now it's just pure plain. We don't really need to groom that much. That's like the best thing about using these nodes. So that's pretty nice. And yeah, let's just collapse the modifier so that we can actually have some space. And now I'm just going to be adding the noise, because again, noise is one of the best modifiers, right? So let's actually just try playing with the scale, and you can see that yeah, I am actually just trying to add the similar scale that I've added in the mustache, because it worked, right? So because it worked, why not just try and do that? So the scale is 200, which is I think similar to the mustache, if I am remembering it correctly. I don't know. Yeah, but still, if it is, even if it's not, the more important thing is how well it is looking visually. The numbers doesn't really matter, right? The visuals is basically what matters. So let's just do the clumping thing just like we did with the mustache, and this is basically a workflow that I used basically in every part of the groom. Maybe instead, maybe not in the braid. Yeah. So this is what we have, and you can actually just see the setting. I don't even have to explain it to you that I am adding this number or I'm putting this number. You can just see the number that I'm putting and what I'm doing. For example, in this case, I am adding noise on top of the clump. So obviously we need to preserve length, otherwise you've seen what actually have just happened. So this is what we have. The density is a little bit low, so we can just increase that. And you can see where we have the braid, the hairs are a little bit longer in that area. So we're going to be doing that in the future as well. So yeah, before we do that, we are going to be adding some rolls. So if you think about it, we've literally did the, I mean, we are doing the same thing that we've did with the mustache. So yeah, I mean, I usually just use 2 or 3 modifiers. One of them would be noise, clump, and yeah, the rolls. So yep, yep. So you don't even have to use all of them. Even I don't know what they do actually. So just use less and get more is, I guess, what we do. So you can see, in order to see exactly what this particular modifier doing, I am just disabling all the others, and this is what I am getting. So I guess the idea is to get some random rotation, because you can see it is getting a little bit of swirly, you know, in the reference. So I am actually just trying to get something similar, and you can see, yeah, the hairs, they are kind of going in the circle. So just trying to do the same thing, you know. Alright, so this is what we have right now. I guess we can actually just try some stuff, for example, preserve length, and yeah. Alright, so at this point, I am only gonna be just changing some of the sliders to see which one exactly works and which slider actually does what. So yeah, alright, you can see that I'm just trying to figure out, as you can see, roll taper, if I were to increase it, it kind of rolls more than once, I think. Is this what I'm doing? So that's basically what's happening. Alright, so this is what we are getting. Obviously, one of the first thing that I can see right now is that we don't have enough density, but I am just trying some stuff out, so I don't wanna sacrifice the performance, and that's why I'm just using the cheaper density version right now. Obviously, I'm gonna be increasing the density as we move along, but right now this is what we have. And as I've said that I'm not really gonna commentate on every setting that I'm changing. So you can just see that yourself, and yeah, it's pretty easy to understand as well. So all right, so you can see that I'm trying to use the noise texture for the intensity of my role here. I actually wanted some randomness, because I feel like if I were to use the noise texture, there would be some areas where I'll have more roles, and there will be some areas where I'll have less roles. So this is just gonna make it look a little bit more natural. And now, because I'm not really seeing what exactly is happening, I'm just trying to add some contrast, to increase the role. As you can see that I'm increasing the white flag in the color ramp. That's because I actually wanted to see more of more of the role thing. But this didn't really work as I hoped so. But so yeah, I mean, for now, this is what we have. And as you can see at the base, yeah, this is also something that I've talked about, right? That we need to make a gradient. So that's what I'm doing actually. The mask is pretty sharp right now, so we need to make the mask a little bit softer. All right. Also, I'm just talking about that where we have the braids. I want the hairs to be a little bit longer in that area so that we can easily hide the braid in between the beard, because braid is going to be the different curve. It's not going to be in this particular curve object. So as you can see that I have actually just added an parent here, and I'm literally just increasing the size of that one. So yeah, let's actually just do that. I am pushing it down to make it a little bit longer, and this is what we have. You can see in the middle, the hairs are getting a little bit longer. I don't want the middle hair to get longer. So I am just going to be adding some parent hairs in the middle, and I'm going to be just scaling them down, because you can see in the middle, near the chin actually, in the reference, you can see that the hairs are a little bit shorter, and we only have longer hairs where we have the beard, not the beard, the braid of the beard. So that's what we are trying to achieve. All right, so this is what we have, and as I've said that the parent hairs, they don't actually contribute towards the density. They contribute towards the direction, the shape, and the length. So if you want to control the length, you basically just control the parent hairs, and you'll be good to go. And obviously, if you want to control the density, you control the mask, the paint that you are doing. So this is what we have right now, and you can see that we definitely have some of these roles. So what we can do, we can actually just go to the role modifier and try to figure something out to make sure that we don't get every hairs to be rolling. So yeah, we just need to figure out a way through which we can actually have less hairs rolling. Alright, so I felt like that the hairs at the jaw, they were coming a little bit too much out. So I've basically just pushed them in. Yeah, that's what I've just did. So this is what we have. I feel like we can create a mask for something, and that something is noise strength. So yeah, at the jaw area, I don't really want that much noise, and I think I'm painting it in inward. Yeah, you can see this is what I'm painting. According to the mask, I would actually get zero noise at the chin area, but I think that's not what I need. Maybe that's actually what I need. Let's see. Because obviously I don't remember, maybe I'll invert it. Yeah, you can see, as I've said, that I am gonna be inverting it, and inverting it actually makes it look like that we are getting less strength towards the jaw area. So that's exactly what we needed. All right, I guess we can add some of it. Oh wait, I've added that in the roll here. Lol. We need to add that into the noise actually. All right, so we've added that into the noise, and it didn't really work as nicely as I actually wanted it to work. So we are gonna do something. We are gonna be decreasing the density towards the jaw area, because I don't want the hairs to be poking out in the jaw area, because they're kind of like the eyes are going towards there, which is not something that I want. So we are gonna be creating a gradient so that it looks like the hairs are decreasing as they're going towards the jaw part. So that's basically what the idea is, because the noise strength mask, it didn't really worked as nicely as I thought it would. So that's basically what I'm just trying to do now. Alright, now we can play with the color ramp to increase or decrease the strength. So if I were to just increase the black flag towards the white, you're gonna see that we are slightly decreasing the density in the jaw area. And that's basically what the plan was as well. So yeah, it's working, so I'm happy with that. Alright, now we can actually just start adding more. For example, trim. We can trim some of the hairs. So I'm not going to trim all the hairs. There is going to be some random value, which means some hairs are going to be longer and some hairs are going to be shorter. So if I were to just decrease the length factor, and if I were to increase the random, you can see what's happening. So that means we're gonna have to put the factor to 1 so that we can actually get our original length back. And if I were to increase the random offset, some of the hairs, they're gonna get shorter. And this is basically just gonna give us more randomness. Alright, so yeah, let's actually just decrease the mask so that alright, the mask is pretty simple. If you were to put it at 0.5, then half of the hairs would get affected. And yeah, if you were to just put the mask at 0, none of the hairs would get affected. So we are at 0.219, which means that we are only affecting the 1/5 hairs. So every 5th hairs is what we are affecting. Alright, so now I'm just gonna be copying the material, and you can see this is how the beard is looking. And yeah, I think it is looking pretty decent. Actually, we have not really groomed as much. If you think about it, we've only played with the modifiers, and I feel like we actually need to do more. For example, you can see that we have some flyaway hairs. Yeah, is that what you actually call them? I don't really know that, but yeah, we're gonna try to basically add more randomness. You know, we're gonna be trying to add some role thing. So let's see what I'll do. Alright, so I am actually just playing with the settings, and this is gonna be the part of making the hairs actually. I don't really wanna say that I remember all the settings, because I don't, unless I'm making same characters multiple times. So yeah, I'm just trying to figure out the settings as well. So that's why I'm just going through them again and again. And yeah, this is also something that could be a little bit boring, but in the end, I am just gonna give you the file so you can actually just see the final settings basically. Yeah, I've actually took some pauses in between that sentence, but you get the idea. I'm just gonna give you the file. You can actually just look through it and see what the final settings were, because I'm definitely gonna be changing them behind the scene. As you can see, I am not really doing something progressive. I'm just figuring out the settings, like which setting is actually working better and which setting is not. And this is something that I can do for whole day, just trying to get perfect settings. So I think it actually makes sense if I were to just do something like this behind the scene and I just show you the settings. So yeah, right now this is what we have, and I'm still just trying to figure out these settings, increasing the roll to maximum to see how it is looking. But definitely we have some of these hairs that are rolling, so that's actually pretty good. Really liking how we have them right now. And we can increase the radius because I think they were rolling a little bit too much. And yeah, the roll length. So yeah, this is nice actually. I'm liking how we've managed to create these roll thing, right? So yeah, they are actually looking pretty nice. I'm really liking them. Obviously, the hairs they could look a little bit weird right now because these are not the final shader. This shader is only for the view purpose. I think for the grooming purpose, we are gonna be creating a final shader in the end after the grooming is done because the hair shader is a little bit expensive on the render time, which means it's gonna take a little bit longer to view exactly how the hairs are looking. So right now you can see that the gradient that we've created. Alright, I think we need to increase some density over here. Yeah, that's what I'm doing, increasing some density. Yeah, as you can see, we've actually got more hairs in this area, the chin area. So this is, yeah, again something just you just have to look at the reference to figure out whether you want something like this or not. Alright, so let's see what else am I gonna do. I can actually see that this video is how much it okay, not about to end. I thought it's about to end. But yeah, you can see that I am still just trying to figure out the best setting. So the idea is to create a gradient, as I've said previously. That's why you can see that I'm, like how do you say it? I'm just decreasing the contrast, right? So that's what I'm doing right now. All right. So I think I've actually said this before that we needed this gradient and increasing the contrast obviously remove this gradient painting that I've did. So all right, I should have actually I should say what I'm doing right now. So you can see that the hairs are going inward, right? They are penetrating the skin and they're going inside the skin. So if you actually want them to not do that, you basically just add parent hair in that area and the hairs would come out. I should have actually said what's happening in the video. I don't know what I was talking about. So you just do that and you can see that the hairs are coming outside now, right? It was going inside. So that's what I've actually just did and now they're looking much better. So that's pretty good, you know. Yeah. Also density, you just have, there is no exact number. You just have to figure it out and save your file. By the way, you can see this bug. Man, this is actually so annoying sometimes. I don't know why this happens. But yeah, just save your file and you should be good to go. This is what you have. And obviously, you're not going to be able to tell how it's going to look in the final because it's not the exact material. But at least you can see the shape and stuff a little bit better. So I don't think that's a big problem. Alright, so again, you can see that I'm actually just trying to get those rolls back because as we have increased the density, we've basically just gotten rid of the roll thing that we've added. So I think we definitely need to add them a little bit more. So that's what I'm trying to do, I think. Oh, wait, I think removing the, oh no, wait, I don't even know what I'm doing actually. I'm just trying to figure out what I'm doing. Yeah, increasing the length, definitely a good thinking. I mean, I'm just trying some stuff here. Let's see what's gonna work and what's not. But yeah, you can see this definitely have helped actually. So yeah, I'm liking it. And this video is also about to end, so I guess we are done with it. Alright, so as you can see that I've already created the braid. Well, the reason for that is pretty simple. Instead of me going through all the settings and try to figure out which setting actually works, it's best that I basically just create this behind the scene and then explain you how I did that and what I did. So first thing first, you can see that we have two objects. The first object is the main beard and the second object I think you can most probably see is some of the flyaway hairs that you can see. So if you were to look at it, you can see that it's only one parent, and if you were to add another one, we can actually create another beard, which is pretty interesting. So yeah, this is, you can see that we have two of them, And on the left side, from Johnny Depp's perspective, the left beard have more of the, I don't know, more frequency in the beard. How do you even say it? Like, if you were to look at the left side, actually, let's talk about from our perspective. All right. Yeah. From on the left side, on the left braid, you can see that we have more of these frequencies. I don't even know what to call them. So, yeah, we're gonna be keeping that in mind, and you can see we have two objects. So first object is what I've selected, the main braid, and if I were to say beard, please refer to that as braid. All right, I might say that. So you can see that we have this frequency setting in the braid hair curve modifier. So yeah, it's not really that complicated actually. Now I'm gonna show you how I've created that by creating another one, and that way you can actually see what exactly is the way that I've used. So first thing first, I've created a mask. You can see that there was a mask, and then I've basically just added a parent hair there. So only one, we only need one actually. You can see there is a mask. I really hope that you've seen that. And now we're gonna be just increasing its size. So you can use snake hook brush to basically pull. You can also just use the shrink or the grow brush. Doesn't really matter, they both just would do the same thing. So what we want to do, we basically want to make them to this particular ornament thing or whatever this is in its hair, because the rest of the hair we are going to be making that separately. We don't want this part, the broom kind of thing that's coming out of the braid, we are going to be creating that as separate. The part that I am referring to with the cursor. So we only need the braid where this cylinder thing starts. All right. So yeah, now we have this. The second step would be to, we'll look at it from the side and basically just fix the shape first. But you don't really need to groom it as much as you might think you need. It's a pretty simple groom. So let's just do that first. And yeah, I think this actually looks fine. We can just go to the modifiers now. From the front, it is looking a little bit weird, but yeah, let's see. All right, so I guess naming is pretty important as well. I am gonna be naming stuff now. I haven't actually named anything yet in this course, but I think for the hairs, because we are gonna have too many of them, I think it's best that we name them as well. So let's just go back to the modifier tab, which is your file. What was this tab called again? I forgot. But don't you worry, we're gonna be using the duplicate hair curves, and we're also gonna be just putting the set profile modifier. So let's just do the set profile first, because we know the number that's gonna work. And now we're gonna be just using the duplicate. So let's just do that. And I think we have to decrease the radius. That would be the first thing that we need to do. And you can see it doesn't really matter how much setting you figure out. You cannot get the perfect braid in Blender. Like the hairs, you can see they're intersecting each other. And I've really tried, but I just was not really able to get it look as good as we have in the reference. So this is something that I was not really able to achieve. And if you were able to achieve with something, maybe using the geo nodes a little bit better, please let me know. I would love to know how you can actually create better looking braid. In this case, the hairs are intersecting, but I've tried making it as tight as I possibly can. So first thing first, let's decrease the radius. The radius right now is a little bit too much for the braid. So yeah, we're gonna be doing that first. And yeah, I think the radius is now a little bit less. We are just gonna be copying the setting, by the way. So let's just copy paste the setting. So this is the radius that I'm using for the right side beard. And again, I want to say this, I am talking from my perspective. All right, so this is what we have. And now we are just going to be using the minimum and maximum factor as well, because if you think about it, this should not be gradually decreasing like the radius of the hair. Because remember, this is not where it should supposed to end. in the portrait. So we are just gonna be doing that. Now the next thing would actually be to, I think, add the braid modifier. So let's see. After the clump, we have, yeah, we have braid hair curve. So we're gonna be just copying that. Wait, it's not a braid, it's clump. I was actually looking at the bottom. I thought it's braid, but I didn't realize that I had the clump opened, like expanded. So we're gonna be doing the clump, I guess, first. After that, we have the braid. So let's actually just copy all the settings. Now, the factor and stuff, we just copy that over here. And you can actually just copy the modifiers as well. I am gonna be showing it to you in the future, so that let's just say that you are making that let's just say that you are done making something and now you want to replicate that somewhere else. You can actually just copy the modifiers as well. Right now I'm not doing that because I want to show you all the settings. So now braid, we are obviously just gonna be start copying all the settings. So first thing first, you can see that the radius of the braid is obviously a little bit too much, so we're gonna have to control that first. And yeah, you can actually just see that I'm just gonna be copying the settings. Obviously the first thing that I've changed is the subdivision, but if I'm being honest, it doesn't really affect the shape of the braid too much. It just smooths out your curves. That's the only thing that it does. And now you can see that we are just figuring out the radius. Also, one other thing, you can see that we have this taper and the frequency is a little bit too much, so we're gonna have to just change all of that setting. And the best thing would be to just take the screenshot of this. And yeah, just so that we don't have to go back and forth. By the way, you can just copy the modifier and paste it to the second braid, like the braid that we are doing right now. But I kind of wanted to show you the settings as well, otherwise it just does not make sense, right? So you can see we can decrease the count for, I don't even know what you actually call them. Um, Basically, we can decrease the frequency, right? And I really hope that you understood what kind of frequency I'm talking about here. Alright, so now we are just gonna be copying the shape, and shape is that setting which basically controls your taper. So if you want your braid to look a little bit more pointy and taper, this is basically the setting that you wanna play around with. And now if you were to just look at the frequency, I don't even have to explain you what it does. You can clearly see what it does. So the frequency is not going to be similar. The frequency is going to be a little bit more in this case, because we can actually see that over here we have more frequency. So we are just gonna look at the reference and try to do something similar. Alright, I think this is gonna work. Yeah, we can always change this setting, so it doesn't really matter. And now you can see that the hairs, if you were to just look at the hairs, they are looking, it's like inflated, Let me just adjust the frequency first, and now we can just go to the next setting. So the next setting would be the thickness. The thickness is 0.808. So thickness is the setting that actually makes your hairs look a little bit more inflated. And right now, obviously, it's not really working that nicely, because we still need to change some settings. Alright, yeah, decreasing the thickness actually have worked a little bit better. And in this case, yeah, you can see we literally just pasted the setting, and now the hairs, the braid, they are not looking that inflated. They are looking much more straighter. So this is much better, I think. Alright, you can see how it is looking, and this is the best I was able to get, by the way, from Blender. Maybe you can just go into the sculpt mode of these curves and do something manually after applying the modifier, but I didn't really wanted to apply any of the modifier. Actually, I want more control. And in the end, I did some test renders and realized that it is working fine, so I didn't really had to change anything. Alright, so now we are just gonna be adding a noise modifier, and we are literally just gonna be copying the settings of it as well. So first thing first, you can see the factor, it's way too low. We're gonna have to do the same, and I am not gonna be using the preserve length, because the factor is so low that it just literally removes all the length variation. So you can see this is what we have before and after. And now we can actually just start copying more settings. So the shape, it's going to be 0.01. Again, if you know what shape is, then if your shape is low, the noise would start from the start, like the base of the hair. That's what it does. And yeah, you can actually just play around with the setting, and you will get to see what each setting does, and whichever looks best for you, then you just stay with the setting. The setting that's working for me doesn't it's not necessary that it's gonna work for you as well, you know. All right, so now what we are gonna be doing, we are gonna be just making some flyaway hairs, and you can see we do have some of these. So the way we are gonna be doing that is pretty simple. I am just gonna be duplicating my original curve, so this, and let's just get rid of it. Sorry, let's just escape and make sure it does not move from the original place. So first thing we can do is we can actually decrease the amount of hairs, and you can see that the hairs have been decreased in, I think, both of, yeah, or no, it's okay. I thought that it decreased in both of the curves, but this is what we have, right? And now we are just gonna be copying the setting. You don't even have to copy the setting, you can just figure out your own settings. But in this case, because I already have some settings that are working for me, so I'm just gonna try and copy that. So you can see that I'm playing with the shape, and all right, let's see. So I'm playing with the shape, and we are getting some sort of flyaway hairs that are looking pretty nice. All we need to do now is to basically just adjust some settings, you know, to make sure it looks little bit better. Let's just copy the material first, and this is what we have, and that's how it's looking. All right, I think, yeah, it is actually looking good. It's just a little bit too far. Wait, I think, all right, so I'm increasing the amount of hairs. Yeah, maybe it would look a little bit better, you know, to increase the hairs. So this is what we have, and yeah, I think it is looking pretty nice. All we need to do is to just figure out some of the settings. I think I'm actually just saying it way too many times now. One of the best thing you can see, because of the shape setting, all the part that is supposed to go inside of these rings, they are going inside. And this sphere thing that you are seeing, we are actually going to be creating a sphere for this and basically just groom that. So it's going to be a different object, you know. And that's how we are going to be cheat it. Yeah, because it does not make sense to make all the braid part from one single curve object. I don't think you can even do that. Can you even do that? Maybe with the geo nodes you can, but not with the modifiers. So I think it's best. All right, so we again get this bug. All right, so let's see. All right, so we are just gonna be doing all the braids now. Maybe behind the scene, actually, I'm not quite sure if I recorded that, but all of the braid that you are seeing, because it's a pretty simple process, and I've just shown you how to do that. I'm just gonna be doing all the braids, and yeah. So is this video about to end, by the way? Yeah, this video is also bound to end. So in the next video, we are obviously gonna be doing something similar, you know, something hair related. But all the braid thing that you are seeing in the Johnny Depp, that's gonna be done behind the scene, because I've already shown you how to do the braid, and it just does not make sense for me to show you every single braid, right? So yeah, I'll actually just see you in the next one, and yeah. All right, so we are going to be doing the eyelashes in this video, and yeah, I mean, what else do I say? So one of the ways that we are going to be doing that is pretty simple. We are going to be just creating a mask for it, and then just yeah, let's actually just do that. You know, I don't even need to explain before I do it. So if you were to look at the eyelashes, you can see one of the first thing that the density of the eyelashes, it's going to be more on the upper eyelashes, and it's going to be less on the lower eyelashes. All right, so we are just gonna keep that in mind, and you can even see the shape and the length of it with this reference. If you were okay, we cannot really see that over here, but you can see what should be the length and what should be the density, and some of the shape as well. And if you were to look at this, you can see the thickness, like the thickness in terms of not the thickness of the hairs, but in how much area the eyelashes hairs are growing from. It's not a thin line, you can see how wide it could be. So we're gonna be keeping that in mind. We also gonna be making it as wide as we can see over here. So yeah, this is like the next thing that we need to keep in mind. Similarly, on the upper eyelashes area, we also have the similar kind of thickness. So you can see it is kind of, I think it's like 1 or 2 millimeters. So we're just gonna try and achieve something similar in our case as well. Also, you can see as the hairs are going towards the corner, they are getting a little bit thinner as well. So we're gonna try to do that. Okay. In this case, we cannot really see the eyelashes even in this one because of the black paint mascara. So yeah, let's actually just ignore that, and now we can just go to our model. So that would be the first thing to do to create the mask, right? And in order to do that, I'm actually just gonna go into the sculpt mode, paint out a mask. Now, if you want to, you can even duplicate some of the meshes, like the mesh of the eye, and basically use that to groom your object. But in this case, I thought maybe painting a mask would actually work nicely. So I'm just doing that. Alright, so now you can see from where the hairs are starting. So let's just try and do that. And you can see that I'm keeping the thickness, whether I'm not just creating a thin line. I am keeping the thickness, and we are just gonna be doing the same thing for the upper eyelid. I think we are gonna be creating different color attribute for both of the eye. Wait, I am keep on saying eyelids. Am I not? Eyelashes is what I meant. Man, I think I've said it too many. I think I've said the wrong word too many times now. Lol, I don't even remember actually. But all right. So apparently, am I gonna be painting it in a similar? I think I'm gonna be painting it in a similar, yep, color attribute. So actually, I do remember it now. Maybe I could be wrong, but I think in the near future, I am gonna be separating color attribute for both of these, because I feel like it just does not make sense to make one color attribute for both of them, because the density is obviously going to be different. Maybe I'll make the lower eyelashes mask a little bit grayer, like gray, not entirely black, so that the density could be a little bit less in the lower eyelashes. Yeah, that could also be the way, but I don't know. I feel like I am gonna be separating them out. Alright, so this is what we have. Obviously, the mask on the upper eyelashes is a little bit less. So I'm just gonna go into the grab view. Sorry, no, gonna use the grab brush and basically make the mask a little bit smoother. I feel like we can increase the. Alright, I think I can increase. Wait, am I even gonna increase the width of the mask? I feel like I'm not gonna do that. Maybe I'll just decrease it. Yeah, that could also be the case, but I feel like I should have increased the. Yeah, you can see this is what we have. It looks like. Alright, I'm not even gonna say how it looks like, but it looks weird. Definitely weird. And you can see that I painted that in the beard color attribute, which was so dumb for me. So dumb of me, but it's okay, we can just pretty easily fix that. So what you can do, you can actually just duplicate the color attribute, and now that you have the copy of it, you basically can just remove the beard vertex, like the beard paint, and now you are only left with the eyelashes. So this way you can just fix that particular mistake. And yeah, I was right. I am going to be making the lower eyelashes mask a little bit grayer, so that the density would be a little bit less, when we'll invert the mask, So now that we have this, I guess we can actually just go to interpolate modifier. Wait. Oh yeah, obviously. We're gonna have to go into the beard one and remove the eyelashes mask from the beard color attribute. So now we can actually just start with an empty hair. And let's start adding the hairs now. So obviously we don't want the length, the shape and the point count, it won't really matter. So this is the length. Yeah, I think it is definitely working. We can lower it down just a little bit, I think. Okay, let's see how. Alright, I think this length is also working for me. Alright, we're gonna have to do the same thing again. I guess I've repeated this thing multiple times now, so I don't really need to explain that. Alright, now we are just gonna be grooming it. Now remember the lower eyelashes, they are going to be a little bit smaller than the upper one. So just make sure that you do that. Alright, so if you were to look at the face from the front, you're gonna realize how they grow and then basically just go down, right? And we just want to do the same thing from the front at least. Right now, if you were to look at it from the front, it's not gonna look like it's going downwards. It's looking like it's coming forward, right? So we don't want the eyelash to come forward. We need the eyelash to come downwards. Right now, the groom that I have, it is going forward. So we're gonna have to push it down. So that's what I'm doing. And now it is looking like it's going down. So this is actually much better now. And now we're just going to start adding some of the eyelashes. And as you can see, as it's going towards the corner, the size is decreasing. So we're going to be doing the same. I think we're going to be just grooming both of the eyelashes, the upper and the lower, in the same mesh, because I've actually just created one single color attribute for it. So yeah. Alright, now we are just going to be doing the same. So the shorter hair is going to be on the corner, and I am just going to be moving it outwards so that it is perpendicular to the surface, kind of like normal, just like we have normals for the faces. They are perpendicular to the faces, right? So something similar to that, and we need to push them down. They don't actually, in this case, you can see in the reference they are kind of up. So in the corner you can actually make them go up a little bit, and yeah, you can actually do that. I just realized that I could have done that, but it's okay, still look pretty good. Alright, so I basically just did the same thing that I've been doing for almost everything else, and you can see the density on the lower eyelid is a little bit more than I wanted. So I've just gone into the mask and increased the value of the mask, right? So this is the density that we have. You can see that we have lower density on the lower eyelid and higher density on the upper eyelid. So that's the reason that we've actually just adjusted the brightness of the mask. Alright, now one thing that you can see, the spacing between them is pretty random, In some areas the spacing is nice, but in some areas we do have some sort of gap, especially in the bottom eyelid. So I actually want to fix that. Let's see how I would go about it. But first thing first, we need to obviously groom the upper eyelid. They're going down and they need to go up actually. So I'm just gonna do that, and you don't want to make them go up like literally like you did with the bottom. They kind of go forward a little bit. So make sure that you do that, just don't make the eyelashes go up like towards the forehead. Make sure that they go in front a little bit more. So that's also one of the grooming difference between the upper and lower eyelid, especially in this case, So I'm just doing that. Also, the length is going to be a little bit more. So the upper eyelid is going to be longer. Yeah, you can see that I'm increasing the length, obviously, because as I've talked about, we need to increase the length for the upper eyelid. So that's what I'm doing. And one of the best thing is that you don't really need to groom awesomely. All the stuff, all the hard work is gonna be carried by the modifiers. Alright, so this is what we have, and if I were to increase the density, you can see this is what we are getting. So now we actually need to give some randomness to them, right? Oh yeah, I also had to correct the the grooming. Alright, I think we are done with the grooming now, most probably. Again, I don't really remember, but yeah. Alright, so yeah, now we are gonna be start adding the modifiers. So first thing first, we are gonna be clumping them because you believe it or not, but they are kind of in the clump. All we need to do is to just decrease the distance to get something like this. So you can see how we are getting this clumping, and alright, we actually have eyelashes on the cheek, which we are going to ignore for now. But this is what we are getting. And yeah, I think the next thing would be to just add the noise. Right now, they are looking okay. I think the clump is working pretty nicely. I still need to figure out the density, by the way. I think the density is not really looking that nice. I mean, in some areas, we have way too much of this distance. So that's something that I'm not really liking. But I'm gonna think about that later. Let's actually just add the noise. So obviously, we're gonna have to increase the scale, as you can see. So let's just try something like, okay, let's try 100. Yeah, I think 100 is a little bit too less. They are, or maybe not. Yeah, let's actually try decreasing the factor. So this is what we have. We need the hairs to be a little bit more straighter. They do have noise, but not this much, I think. So let's just try decreasing the distance as well. Alright, so this is what we have. Yeah, again, I think the noise is a little bit too much. Also, the noise is starting at the tip, so we need to play with the shape and make sure that it starts with the base of the hair. And yeah, this is much better, but I think the intensity is still a little bit too much, so we're gonna be just changing the factor to something lower. Yep, I think this is looking much better now. Yep. All right, what else? This is like the only concern that I have, that in this particular area, the density. Yeah, I think we're gonna have. I think at this point, I am gonna be separating it out. Let's see. All right, I think that actually makes more sense. Just increasing the density. That's why I've lowered down the value of the mask. And now we can actually just play around with this. So obviously, if we were to increase the whites, it's not really gonna work. So we have to we can only play with the white value. So this is what we have. I mean, the spacing is correct, but I think the density is a little bit too much for the bottom eyelid. And I feel like we're gonna have to fix that. So let's see what solution I came up with. Right now, again, the only problem I have to fix first is the density thing, because yeah, we can actually add all the noise modifiers later, but first thing first, we need to get the density right. Alright, so this is what we have, and this is the density. but I can still see a spot there which is empty. And it is actually kind of weird. Why is it happening? Like, there is a spot. I really hope that you can see the spot where we have no hairs and there is a big spacing. And yeah, I've actually been just trying to fix that. All right, so let's see. Maybe I eventually have to make it separate, make the upper eyelid separate and the bottom one. But I don't remember if I do that or not. Let's see how I would tackle the problem, or maybe I don't even tackle this problem. We'll see. So I still think that the lower eyelid should have a little bit less density, but let's see how it would look. All right, so in the corner areas, I am again just trying to make the hairs a little bit shorter. Obviously, because that's just how it is in the real life, and also something similar we can see in the reference. So just gonna try to do the same. So yeah, don't actually decrease it too much. You've just seen what happened there. Just make sure that it makes sense. And you don't really have to be super accurate with the grooming, as I've said, because in the end, the modifiers carry a little bit more um, looks than the grooming. Just make sure that however you are grooming, the shape and the direction is correct, and everything else should be taken care of by the modifiers. So right now we have this mask where we actually are getting some hairs on the cheek. Well, I can just fix that behind the scene. I don't really need to show you how I would do that, because I just need to paint out all the stuff. And actually increasing the seed have changed that. So maybe different seed values does give better result. Yeah, I think we've gotten rid of that spacing problem. So that's actually nice. You can see we have the... Oh wait, I am just duplicating. Okay, I get it. So I think I must be thinking that... Oh wait, am I doubling I think I'm doubling the meshes. I've just duplicated that and changed the seed value. Alright, okay, that's actually a cool way of tackling the problem. So instead of one curve mesh, I'm actually using two. That's interesting. And I think, yeah, I get it now. I remember it now. So basically, I want some hairs to be shorter and slimmer. And the best way to get that is to just make a different mesh, like duplicate the mesh, decrease the density, trim them down, make them slimmer, and that's how you would get the variation of thicker and thinner hairs. Yeah, I remember it now. Yeah, you can see that we are getting thicker hairs and the thinner hairs, and this is actually looking much more natural. And that's actually a problem when you do an voiceover on top of a video. You can actually say stuff that you are seeing. So I remember it now. I wanted to make some hairs thinner, and that's why I've duplicated that and trimmed that down, and went into the set hair curve profile modifier and just make them a little bit slimmer. So this is just giving us much more variation. So that's nice. That's nice. I've totally forgotten that I did that. And that's how the eyelashes are looking. And also we've fixed the issue of the spacing that we had. So I think the spacing is better now as well. All right. So we are gonna be doing the eyebrows in this one, because we have done the eyelashes. That wasn't a really good start. But one of the best thing about this portrait is that we don't even have to make the whole eyebrow. We only have to make the part which could be seen. And we're gonna have most of the eyebrow covered with the cloth in front. So we can actually just ignore the middle area like we have over here. And that's actually pretty nice. We don't even have to do the peach fuzz over there, like on the forehead area. So we're gonna be not doing that, and you can see the direction basically how it is going. So in the middle part it basically goes up, and as it goes towards the corner, the hair basically just start bending on 90 degrees. So if I were to just draw it for you, you can see that in the middle it goes up, and as it goes towards the corner part of the eye, the hairs basically start taking a 90-degree turn, and eventually they basically just change the direction completely. And this is how the direction basically goes in the eyebrow. So we're gonna be just keeping that in mind, and we're gonna be grooming like this. So again, the grooming, we need to make sure that the direction and the length is correct. So yeah, in this case, both of that should actually be accurate to make the eyebrow look a little bit more natural. And just like I've drawn, I'm basically just gonna copy how parent hairs are gonna be. So I'm just gonna copy the drawing. So parent hairs are gonna copy the drawing. Yeah, I think that actually makes more sense. So now that I've shown it to you, let's actually just start doing the grooming. I'm going to be selecting the mesh again, the similar process, and let's add the empty hairs. So curve, empty hair, and now we can just go to the sculpt mode. Let me just hide the pure ref file, and we're gonna go to the I've named it, you can say, the power of editing. I've renamed it, so that's pretty cool. And now we are just gonna be selecting that, and let's just go into the sculpt mode and start adding some of the parent hairs. Obviously we are gonna be using the symmetry. So let's see. Now you cannot really see it accurately, but you can see that in the Jack Sparrow reference, as you can see. So in this case, we don't actually have to make the whole eyebrow. And obviously in case of yours, that would not be true. Maybe the character that you are making is not gonna have a bend like this on his forehead, so you have to make the whole eyebrow. But it's not really that complicated. I've just shown you the direction. You can just look at the references and make the whole eyebrow. In this case, as you can see, I am actually just gonna be doing some of the only the edge part, like the corner area, because that is like the only part that I can see in the reference. So I am just gonna be doing that. Alright, let's see. So again, we are gonna have a similar kind of volume, just like we had in the mustache. Don't make it super flat. Make sure that it does have some volume, and that's what I'm actually just trying to do. Not making it super flat, otherwise it's not really gonna look nice, So just do that, and you can see I've only added one up until now. I think I'm only gonna add 2 or 3 more maximum, and we should be able to get some decent result using just 3 or 4 parent parent hairs. Alright, so just like we've seen in the drawing, these are the 2 direction thing that we have in the eyebrow, and even though this part it could not be seen, I'm actually just gonna add that. Yeah, maybe. Alright, so I'm even adding the middle part, which is okay, that's good. At least you will be able to see the direction and how you should supposed to groom the eyebrow. Again, obviously I'm not saying that I know everything, just explore stuff, make some trial and error, and you should be able to get decent result. I know that the direction of the hairs, this is how it should supposed to be, so I don't even have to look at the reference. And something that is in my favor is, even if I get this middle part wrong, it's gonna be fine for me, because there is an headband or head cloth in front of the eyebrow, so I eventually won't be able to see this area. So it doesn't really matter if I make this part nice or not. In the end, it's all gonna be hidden, so it doesn't really matter, I think. Alright, so this is the groom, and you can see it's pretty simple actually, even though it might seems like that the eyebrows are a little bit complicated to figure out. It still is not. And now we are just gonna be doing the same thing. All right, now let's actually just paint out the mask wherever we want the hairs, and I am just gonna be looking through the reference because we already have a camera set up for all of this stuff. I think it's okay to just use that, right? All right, so this is what we have, and we basically just setting up the modifiers and stuff. And you can see we the direction of the hairs. We actually need a little bit more parent hairs to control them a little bit better. In the corner part, it looks like that the hairs are going in one single direction. So we actually need to fix that. And I think in order to do that, I can actually just add more hairs to control them a little bit more. So you can see just adding the hairs, it is making them more natural. So this is also something that you can do. But obviously fix your direction and stuff if you are adding more hairs, right? Otherwise, why would you want to add more? All right, let's see. So I'm just going to be looking at the reference to try to figure out the direction. Now, as you can see, I'm not really concerned with the middle part because again, we cannot really see that. And I feel like that the hairs, they're coming down a little bit too much. So I think we can remove them. Yeah, I think we are going to be removing the middle hairs a little bit because it's just a little bit weird, you know. Some of them are coming down. So yeah, I think this is much better. You can see that the mask is not entirely accurate to the eyebrow, but then again, our concern is not to make super awesome looking mask. Um, the idea is to just to make it look good, and because we don't have anything behind, we cannot really see anything behind the um, like what do you even call this headband kind of cloth. We don't even need to make that actually. Alright, now we are just gonna be copying the material and let's see how it would look. So, you know, I can just bring the cloth part into this scene to see how exactly the eyebrows are looking behind the cloth. But now we are actually just gonna be adding some variation and we are gonna be adding that through the noise modifier. Again, we are just gonna be using one of the best modifiers in this whole system, and you can see it's looking pretty nice already. You don't have to make it super like you don't need high strength. All you need to do is just have some variation, and it's gonna look good. So that's pretty nice. And this is what we have. He kind of looked Chinese, you know, with this eyebrow. But yeah, it's okay, I guess. Hey, his eyebrow kind of look Chinese, isn't it? All right, okay. Let's actually just ignore that. But this is what we have, and as you can see, I basically am focusing on the part that could be seen in my portrait, and I'm literally just ignoring every other part. So yeah, you can see with the noise, it actually looks pretty nice as well. So that's good. I think in order to get a better idea, I should actually bring in the cloth on the forehead so that I can see exactly what we are looking at. Right now, we cannot really like we don't have the cloth right now, so we cannot really judge as nicely. I don't remember if I bring in the cloth in this video. I definitely do bring in the clothes because of the hair on the head, but I don't actually remember if I bring it for the eyebrow. All right, now you can see I am just trying something with the set hair curve profile, And the idea is the shorter the hair, the thinner the hairs are going to be. This is basically what I'm trying to achieve here. And you're gonna see that I would fail actually, because I was not really able to figure out how to do that. So what I did, I basically just went on to Google and I've searched if I could do something, and I basically just got this file. So this file, there is a setup of geometry nodes in which the shorter the hairs, the thinner the hairs are going to be. You cannot see that right now, but if I were to go to the render viewport, you can see right over here on the left part, the hairs are longer. So they are thicker, and on the right side, the hairs are getting shorter and shorter, and hence thinner and thinner. So we are going to be using the same the same geometry node setup for our eyebrows, and that way the hair on the eyebrow that are going to be longer, they are going to be thicker, and the hairs that are going to be shorter, they are going to be thinner. So I really hope that actually made sense. So what we are going to be doing, we are just going to be copying this, right? And just select everything. We basically have similar nodes if you were to look at it. So just select everything and we're going to be copying it. You can also press Ctrl C, but for some reason, sometimes Ctrl C doesn't work with the nodes, which is a little bit weird, but I guess that's just how it is. So now we have two nodes set up, and I am just going to be deleting the original one, and you can see we've basically got nothing here. That's why we need to add more thickness, and the way we are going to be increasing the thickness is, if you were to just go to your radius and basically just start adding some number here. So yeah, you can see we've added the number and you are getting the same thing. The hairs on the right is a little bit shorter. That's why you can see that the radius of those hairs are also a little bit less. And we are actually getting the same thing, but I think the thickness of the hairs are a little bit too much. So we kind of need to fix that. If you were to compare it with the eyelashes, the hairs on the eyebrow, they are way too thick. So we just need to make sure that it is a little bit less. Alright, so this is what we have, and yeah, I think it is looking pretty nice. It's at least the modifier working good. So even if you are not getting some decent looking eyebrow, at least you are getting a method through which you can make your shorter hairs thinner. So let's increase the density. Right now the density, yeah, I don't think 3 is the right. Okay, I think is it 2 million? I cannot even count the zeros, but whatever is the density, I think this one is working better. So now what we need to do is we just need to add shorter hairs at the border of the eyebrow so that it could look like that we have a transition going on. So if I were to just add some hairs and make it a little bit shorter, we are gonna get an transition effect that the hairs are slowly getting thinner and thinner, and basically transitioning into peach fuzz. Alright, so now let's actually just go into the render viewport to see how exactly it is looking. And yeah, you can see this is what we are getting. Obviously the transition is, it's okay, but we can actually make it look a little bit better. Right now you can see that all the hairs are looking pretty hard. That's because of the shader actually. So don't be concerned with how hard the hairs are looking. They are gonna look much better when we'll add the actual shader to them. So yeah, but yeah, you can see that the setup is working pretty nicely, and you can actually use this setup for your own. All you need to do is to just select one of this source file and basically copy the same geometry node setup to your own, because I don't even remember from where I've got that file. Alright. Okay, so this is what we have, and yeah, I think the grooming, it is turning out to be pretty good. The texture of the hairs, they are looking pretty nice as well.